Monat Australia, according to the CEO of the company, Ray Ordaneta, the one growing territory in the Monat universe of dwindling shampoo sales and plummeting recruitment numbers, is currently destroying itself from the inside out. While Monat Corporate is preparing for Monations 2025 in August in Las Vegas, we see history repeating itself when the controversy in Monat, a self-proclaimed hub of shampoo dealers selling naturally based, safe and pure products, peaks again in Australia due to allegedly harmful ingredients pushed by overly motivated crunchy distributors. This video will be a wild ride about shunning former distributors, questioning higher up Aussie Monat Huns' motives to sell products with potentially hazardous ingredients that allegedly do not align with their own values. It will be about the utter uselessness of Monat Corporate, hate pages, critical thinking, faith manipulation, and compromising morals for money. Hello and welcome to the channel, or welcome back. I'm Christine. I'm glad you're here. Today we will take a look again at Monat, Modern Nature, a US network marketing company, and its best performing territory, Australia, because we do see why Monat is failing and why I believe that Monat Australia will be the next territory to crumble, because the Huns are fighting each other and we see history repeating itself. It happened in the US, where distributors were kicked out of the company. The people who stayed in the company were gaslighting their downlines and also everybody around. They were hyping up the Monat opportunity and they were pretending as if everything was just fine and dandy, as if they were running their own businesses and they actually had control over the actions Monat took and Monat still takes to this very day. We will take a look at an emergency team huddle last December that exposes Monat Australia as the clueless offspring of Monat United States that it is, and that Monat Corporate does not utilize their experience over the past 10 years, how to deal with criticism and professional feedback concerning their products, ingredients, something that just recently was a hot topic in the USA, and they're not able to give their own distributors enough ammunition so that they continue to be successful in the company. The team huddle I'm going to show you is about an hour and a half long. I sped it up to 1.25 so that it's still clearly understandable, but it is still very, very long. And I thought long and hard to show you the huddle and how to give you context to this really, really important topic. And I wanted to originally edit clips together based on the different topics I wanted to cover and just show you relevant excerpts from the huddle. The speakers are all over the place. You can tell it's a very, very emotional time for a lot of distributors in Monat, and they repeat themselves often, and sometimes they're lacking important background information. But I decided to show you the entire huddle and not edit anything out, because I think it's important also for people who are in Monat, who are interested in this topic, to see this entire shit show unedited and raw, and also to show you the emotions of the people who are in the company where there is currently a lot of confusion, so that we're not missing anything and you're not missing anything. We will hear the speakers' full thoughts, which I believe is really important to also understand their side. And I think it is also important to understand what thought processes currently go on in a very large community in Monat Australia when it comes to potentially harmful ingredients that these people use and they also sell to their customers. Most of the people on this call are a part of the crunchy community or distributors in Monat, and that is why the topic of ingredients for them, I believe, is more important than it might be for others. I will give you background information so that you understand the context and that you understand what is going on in this team. Bear with me. It will be like Monat Tetris, but it will be worth it if you're interested in witnessing the downfall of Monat Australia, which I believe this team huddle shows so clearly. And then I will also give you background information during the call. The person who mostly speaks on the team huddle is Taylor Winterstein, the wife of former professional rugby league player Frank Winterstein. Taylor is an Australian Samoan influencer, not a medical professional, As is true for the other participants on this call, let's keep that in mind, she was able to grow her social media on Instagram to now over 85,000 followers. Because of her husband's professional sports career, she seems to be celebrity adjacent in the South Pacific and in Australia. Taylor is what you would consider a crunchy mom of 3 children. A crunchy mom is a mother who practices a natural lifestyle and a natural approach to parenting, and the team Crunchy refers to a lifestyle that embraces stuff like organic foods, eco-conscious choices, prioritizing the well-being of both the child and the environment, shows a preference for holistic medicine, an aversion to modern medicine. Homeschooling is preferred over public school, and Taylor calls herself an ex-vaxxer, claiming that she had vaccinated her son at least 6 times a day with breast milk. This person is so important because she's really a vital part, and also a vital part of the accusations that are currently thrown her way, because in 2019, Taylor tried what I would call trying to prevent the mandatory vaccination of children against measles during an epidemic in Samoa. A measles outbreak was declared on October 16th and led to the Samoan government declaring a state of emergency on November 15th, 2019, and to the introduction of an emergency mandatory vaccination strategy. Taylor compared the emergency mandatory vaccination strategy introduced after the outbreak of the measles to Nazi Germany, saying that Samoa is in violation of the Nuremberg Code by enforcing mandatory immunization, and posted a hashtag Nazi Samoa hashtag on social media. Samoan health officials and the World Health Organization blame unqualified figures such as Taylor and the anti-vaccination movement for a decline in immunization rates, which in turn caused the 2019 measles epidemic to be more severe and deadly. On her social media, Taylor offers subjective opinions on nutrition, medicine, home birth, the alleged dangers of 5G radiation, and of the vaccination of children. And she and her husband hold retreats and workshops and life coaching programs, so she likely attracts a similar crunchy crowd of people who also want to cut out toxins out of their lives, believe in a holistic lifestyle approach, and live a natural, organic life using ingredients and products that support that lifestyle. Let's keep that in mind. I'm giving you all of this as a background information because it's really vital to understand the pressure that Monat Australia and the Huns are currently under, and why she is the central figure of all of this. Because Taylor is a Monat Hun. Yes, it is ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. In my opinion, it is ridiculous. She joined Monat about a year ago now under her upline Amelia, who also speaks on the call and is at the MMM, the Managing Market Mentor rank, the 4th highest rank in the company, 1 rank shy of becoming a director. Her team is currently in uproar because 2 people have left the team and left Monat. Someone who now runs their own anti-mlm Instagram page, and another former very well-liked Monat distributor who wrote a very controversial and concerned email about the Monat products. And both of those women who left the team also live this crunchy lifestyle. This was a long intro, but it was necessary to understand the context, and now we will finally start with the huddle. I will show you the entire huddle. I think that is important, but I will speed it up a bit.
Hi, beautiful people. I don't usually record the huddles, but tonight I'm recording this huddle because this is really important. Oh, jeepers. Sorry, just had my music pop up. This huddle tonight is really important. This huddle has been a little while coming. We have needed to have a discussion like this for some time, but we've just had so many things happening in the team, and I didn't feel it was appropriate to bring this up until the dust was kind of settled. Not that it's really settled, but it's kind of settled, and I could just gather some more information. We could just decompress and regulate from all of the, the end of month madness and the new month and the big announcement of the compensation plan changing, and so many different moving parts that were happening in this business while a massive storm was brewing and taking place. And I didn't want to distract us and take our focus away from from what I believe needed to happen for us in this business. I was always going to come back to this and address this conversation. And I am definitely somebody who really values honesty and transparency. I love, having open conversations. I love having hard conversations, ask the hard questions, whatever it is. I've never shied away from that. I've always encouraged everybody, like, if you have something, bring it to the table, and we can discuss it and we can work through it. And I will do my very best to find the information that is needed. But I have been having quite a few conversations today, especially with some of the leaders in this team. And I was going to wait till next week to do this call, but I feel like as it gets closer to Christmas, everyone, like, it's not really appropriate. Everyone's kind of, we want to enjoy our family time, and, rightly so. I do as well.
At the end of November, there was already something brewing under the surface of that team, but with a big Monat 2.0 compensation plan changes that were not that big, that were not that game-changing at all. The leaders on this team, so the people who recruited the most people, it's ridiculous that they're called leaders, or they call themselves or each other leaders. You're not a leader, you just recruited the most people. Being a leader is something different than that. They did not want to address these issues of 2 people leaving the team and speaking about their concerns with Monat products, because both people who have left Monat have done so very publicly. And because towards the end of the month, the distributors are always struggling and trying to work towards hitting their monthly rank requirements, they were not able to address this towards the end of November, because that is really when it's peak season in a month. The Huns struggle to get all of their ducks in a row, sell the products they need, have the people they need on their team, have the people on their team hit their ranks. So it's a really, really busy time. That's why they didn't do that at the end of the month, but now they will.
And so I really felt like tonight was a night to just discuss this. And I'm going to say this isn't like a one and done kind of call or conversation. This will be an ongoing conversation that needs to happen, especially as things start to change and more questions start to come up. And for our team in particular, because we have a lot of the newbies who've been in this team recently will have no idea who these people are or what I'm about to say. But for a lot of us who've been here for a little while, will definitely know there has been market partners who have left our team, who have then gone on to create basically a page to expose Monat, and have sent out a big email blast sharing, a lot of things that definitely there are some valid points, but a lot of it has been taken out of context. And has been manipulated to suit a certain narrative, which I was kind of hesitant to kind of really speak into my experience of what had happened, because I'm not here to speak badly about anybody. Let's just put that straight up. Like, I'm not here to diss anybody. I'm not here to speak badly about anybody. That is not what I want to cultivate in this team. However, I do feel like an open conversation needs to happen, because a lot of us did know these people in the team, and we're following them and in conversation, and a lot of them, a lot of you girls became friends with these girls as well. So when something like this happens in the team, or in any team, but in our team in particular, it's really disheartening. It's really it's disappointing. It is rattling. It does make people feel wobbly, right? Because we would like to think that everybody comes into this team with really great intentions, and really what's the best for everybody, and wants to be able to operate our businesses in a really respectful way. Unfortunately, that has definitely not been the case since some people have left. And I'm going to say I am used to people doing this to me, to be honest. I'm used to people coming in and being really close to me and saying all the right things, to then literally turn around and stab me in the back and trash my name. I am used to that happening. So it's not really that rattling to me. However, I know for many of us in this team who've never experienced anything like this before, it is rattling to the nervous system. A lot of girls have felt blindsided by things that have happened. And I feel like it's really important to open up this conversation.
I don't know about you, but she seems to be quite rattled as well. She is a part of the medical freedom movement. So people who do not believe in vaccination, in modern medicine, they believe that the government is evil, all of that stuff. I'm simplifying this. And I guess that's where she's coming from when she says, hey, I do know what it is like. People come in your life and then they stab you in the back. Could also be that she's referring to Monat, because she has this very public profile, that could be what she's referring to here. But there is definitely a lot of confusion in this team specifically, because ex-team members are currently exposing Monat Australia, and they're sharing their insights, they're sharing their experience, their opinions, and their views from when they were a part of a Monat team. They talk about the business practices, the product claims, they speak about the potentially harmful ingredients, and we have seen this before, because Monat is not a proper company. Monat Australia is not a proper territory in a proper company. They're a part of a cult. And then that is something that does shake teams to the core when they realize some people are unhappy, they're leaving, but they're not doing so quietly. They make use of their right of freedom of speech and post their opinions on social media or send out an email, as we will hear later. And that is why this team is really in uproar. Taylor does make it sound like this sounds very personal to her. I don't think this is a very professional approach. The people on this call, they were definitely hurt, they were surprised, and they don't understand what's going on, or they pretend they don't understand what is going on. Former Monat distributors have left the team. That is the entire core, and they're speaking out publicly now about their experience in Monat, and they're not doing so with Monat being presented in a very favorable light. And some of these might be considered friends. Some people in this team might have considered them close acquaintances. And then it must be difficult to witness them speak up publicly about Monat Australia. She uses a lot of words that show me that she has a strong bias there, obviously, although she's trying to present herself here as a very balanced individual, which I don't think is the case. She's using words like people were backstabbing her, others are not coming into this business with good intentions, and that some people might feel blindsided. That already shows me that it's not a very balanced approach, which I don't expect from somebody who is currently still involved in this cult. This exodus we have already seen in other territories in Monat can cause confusion for team members, and it can impact the team. It can impact the team's performance. It can lead to more team members leaving the team, which would impact the paycheck of the higher ups massively, since they do depend on a big team. It is still a bit confusing, the people who she's referring to, if you do not know the background information, so let me fill you in. One is a former Monat distributor who now runs an Instagram account called anti-mlm Unmasked and posts there about the dangers of network marketing, the hypocrisy she has witnessed during her time in the company, and she speaks about ingredients in Monat products that are, according to her, potentially harmful for women, for sure concerning, especially if you live this crunchy lifestyle that Taylor pushes so aggressively. Some of those harmful ingredients that will come up during the call, and we will get into that later, are, for example, Capixyl. Go ahead and follow anti-mlm Unmasked. I will link their Instagram page down below if you want more insights about Monat Australia, because I always think it is important to have a more well-rounded approach to these kind of topics. What do former market partners who were a part of that cult, who wanted to sell the products, who used the products, what are they saying? And in this case, you can imagine it is not very favorable of Monat, and it's not very favorable of the top leaders. So the Instagram page anti-mlm Unmasked is linked down below. If you're interested in this, I would encourage you to follow them on Instagram. It's really worth to take a look at the posts and to listen in. The second person who will be mentioned is a former distributor by the name of Carly, who had experience in network marketing before Monat. She originally joined Monat, not under this team, but under Jess Etzel, Australia's first director, Australia's most successful Monat distributor at the moment. She then left the team and joined after the waiting period, that must be about 6 months, under this team. And now this person has left Monat again. So there's a lot of ebbs and flow, you can already tell. This Carly person, sent out an email advising her customers and fellow distributors why she left Monat, why she is worried about certain ingredients in Monat products, and why the network marketing business model can be so toxic, and why, in her opinion, many network marketers will choose money over integrity. And that is really something that shook a lot of the distributors on this call to the core. You will be able to see that. This truly rattled the leaders on this team, and they apparently felt attacked by that. I will show you the email on the side. You can pause and read the entire thing. I'm not going to read you the entire email because otherwise this would be a 4-hour call, because this is a long email. But I will also mention and show you the relevant points as we go along. Holly pretty much in that email said that she finds it worrisome that we as very health conscious distributors, referring to the crunchy Monat people, sell Monat hair care products with ingredients such as Capixyl and red clover that could have an effect on the female reproduction and are advised by healthcare professionals to not be used during pregnancy and while breastfeeding. But since there is a lack of scientific evidence on the harmfulness of these ingredients, she feels that they, as customers and as distributors, are playing Russian roulette, using the products, and they might only be aware of the after effects of these ingredients decades from now. We have a responsibility, she says, to let especially women know that some of the products have those ingredients and should not ignore this just to make more money. So money before integrity. That is her accusation, especially against the leaders. Carly stopped recruiting in Monat a while ago, but she still wanted to sell the products, but then couldn't do that anymore because they do not align with her morals once she started to do her own research into the ingredients mentioned. And that is the background on these topics so that you can distinguish between the people. We will continue with the huddle now until I pause again to give you a lot of background information.
So that anybody who's on this call as well that wants to say anything and wants to get something off their chest, please take yourself off mute. I will open up the space in a little bit and go for it. Air your concerns. Let us know how you're feeling. There is we're not here to shy away from any type of conversation. I would much rather us all have a conversation so that we can really try to get to the bottom of this, but also help support one another in moving through a storm like this as well, because it feels very close to home. It does feel like a personal attack on the team. It is important that we actually, really discuss it and have a look at what is going on. So first of all, I will say the market partner that has created a page to expose Monat and just share a lot of different things that is her opinion, which she has stated. I feel like anybody looking at that, especially coming from this team, will know that a lot of what has been said is not true. I've never ever once gaslit anybody, made anybody, not say anything. I've never shut down any questions or any critical thinking. Any question that has been asked in the team chat, I have always said, let me get back to you. I'll do my best to go and find the information. I understand that sometimes you guys will take things to head office through the customer support or the market partner support line, and they will only give you a very generic or basic answer. I understand that. And so I do make it a point to go to Leaders Care and ask the support that we have as leaders in this company to get a more thorough answer, because a lot of the answers, or some of the answers that have come back, haven't been sufficient enough in my opinion. And so I will then go and literally go into the leaders chat, or I'll ask the Leaders Care email that we have, or I'll literally talk to Jen or Mel or Kirsten, and I'll ask them, what's going on? Can we get this information? A big thing was the Lilal, for example, right? So this ingredient that was once used with Monat's products, that was then banned by the EU, that was still listed as an ingredient on the bottles, which once that new regulation came out, Monat stopped using that ingredient. However, they didn't change the ingredient list on the bottles. And some of the information in the back office wasn't updated as well. So that was something that we went back to them and we said, why doesn't this match up? We need to update this. This is concerning, yada, yada, yada. So they did. They updated the product information sheet. They explained why they hadn't updated the ingredients on the labels, which was a sustainability reason. However, last week, I think it was, Jen Usher came back to us and said they are now relabeling the bottles, or putting a label over the old ingredient label, which is really helpful for us, because then we don't have to have things that don't match up that we are trying to explain as market partners, and then makes us feel like we are wobbly in our knowledge and what we're trying to share. Okay, so that might have taken a little bit longer than what we would have liked. However, it does show me that head office are open to feedback. They do listen to what we are saying. When we ask for something to happen, they do their very best to go and make it happen. So Jen Archer has gone and made that happen. All of the bottles that once had that ingredient will now have a label over the top that reflects the right ingredients in that product, which should hopefully squash all concerns and minimize anything that used to come up around that ingredient, because there is a lot of things that are circulating on social media around that ingredient in particular. Also, there's a lot of information circulating about Capixyl as well, which I will get into.
There is so much to unpack already in the first 7 minutes of this huddle. Critical thinking is the death of network marketing, and she has displayed manipulative language. In my opinion, already, and we will see a lot more of that. Also from her upline, who will speak after her as well. Creating a hate page, painting the women that left Monat and speak out publicly now as disruptors who were negative and never ever had good intentions and wanted to ruin Monat from the start, or that they were not successful enough and they were terminated, that's why they cannot be believed, and then they of course had to speak negatively about Monat. Look out for those terms as we go along in the call. I find that really, really interesting to see, because we do see a cult operating. we see it in this video. Here again, she's referring to Instagram MLM Unmasked, and that is the critical Instagram page that she mentions. She also mentions Jen Usher, the VP and Managing Director of Monat Australia and New Zealand, who is allegedly so helpful when questions and concerns about ingredients are mentioned, and Taylor and the team leads asked questions in leader chats. I cannot roll my eyes as far back as I want to, because otherwise they will not roll back. They reach out to other leaders when they have questions about ingredients. Let that sink in. This is already the first sign to me that Monat Australia is run extremely unprofessional, and it's run as unprofessionally as the US market, as well as potentially all the markets. Why do you have to type any shit in a leaders chat about ingredients in Monat? To me, this also shows that these team leads, they're playing business. They're not running a legitimate business, they're playing business. Monat Australia in 2024, this was at the end of 2024, should have entire Q&A and FAQs ready and available documents with corporate and professional feedback about ingredients, about ingredient changes, alleged formula changes, because this was such a hot topic in Monat in the United States, where a lot of Monat distributors left the company and went to the olive tree people. That was last year in May. And now there is still confusion in other territories. I mean, this is an absolute joke. People like Angela Sumner left and spoke about her worries when it comes to the ingredients, because she's also a crunchy mama. She's taken this to another level, to a whole new level in my opinion. But still, those are not new topics. They have been topics. There have been critical questions ever since mid last year. So why is there no official information from Monat, no talking points, backed up information from Monat corporate for all the territories, especially because there are so many formula hot topics around? Still, currently, this is really, really unprofessional. She mentioned Lilal in Monat products, and those are hot topics, and those were hot topics last year in Monat US, and now there are still bottles with that ingredient listed on the bottle. Is what? Why? Why are you doing such a bad job? Why is Monat Australia not prepared for this? And why are there still products labeled with ingredients that are allegedly not in the products anymore? No, but that's what we're doing in Australia. It's really unbelievable from a professional, from a business standpoint. To show you the level of Monat's incompetence, because that's what I love to do, and the uproar the topic caused in the company already, and why I am surprised that Monat Australia has not addressed this properly and has not solved this problem properly, has not fixed this, why Monat has not fixed this in all territories, we will take a quick look and a quick excursion into the Lilal topic. More Monat Tetris. Bear with me, it is really important to understand the full scope of what is currently happening in Monat in Australia. Over the past year, or maybe even years, Monat showed concerning practice how they dealt with alleged formula changes in their hair care products concerning Lilal, the ingredient we're talking about here, and how Monat and the market partners kept those secrets until a lot of US market partners last year were terminated and publicly shared the problems with Monat ingredients and the concerns from other market partners and customers that were kept undercover. Does that seem familiar? The market partners in the United States alleged that the ingredients on the bottles of recently bought products did not match up with the ingredients in the past, but no information from Monat was available that they might have changed the formula, or that the information on the shampoo bottles did not match with the ingredients information on the Monat website. There were accusations that the company had changed the formula of their products, but they did not inform their very own sales force and best customers. Hannah Alonso, for example, speaks about that in her video, The Death of Monat. I will link the video down below if you want to take a look at the full video. It's really, really interesting to watch. It's really very well done. I would encourage you to do so if this is a topic that's interesting to you and if you haven't seen that video already. But here, market partners recognized the alleged formula changes concerning an ingredient called Lilal, a synthetic fragrance ingredient, which is pretty much a masking agent, giving products a floral scent. It is not uncommon that those natural, organic products, they don't smell the nicest, and then they add a scent to mask that. Lilal has been banned in the European Union since March 1st, 2022, because it can affect fertility. And let's take a look at a clip from Hannah's video. I will also speed it up a bit.
Here's one market partner named Grace talking about her experience with the different formulations, and I really commend her for speaking out about this. I think what she has to say is very important and everybody should take note of it.
I went into my shower, I got my bottle of shampoo, and I cross-referenced the ingredient list that is on this bottle of shampoo with what is on the website. Now, people are being told, well, they had to kind of like shift the way the ingredients are listed in a certain way, but it's not really a formula change. It's just like, it was just something to be more compliant. They were trying to make sure they were more compliant. Well, let me share what I found out about this bottle of shampoo compared to the website. So this bottle of shampoo, I'll give you the lot number so we're clear. This bottle of shampoo I received in a grab bag in April of 2023. Lot number 200901022. This is the Volumizing Revive shampoo. There are several ingredients on the current ingredient list that have been added that are not in this bottle of shampoo that I received in 2023. This bottle of shampoo contains an ingredient that was banned in the EU in 2022, and that is no longer on the website. But this bottle of shampoo was sent to me a full year after that ingredient was banned in the EU. This bottle of shampoo was sent to me. This bottle of shampoo does not meet EU standards, and yet it was sent to me by Monat in a grab bag sale that I bought and paid for.
And this is significant because Monat states on their website that, quote, we formulate our products to comply with the highest standards across the USA, Canada, and Europe. All Monat formulations use ingredients that the FDA, Health Canada, and the more strict European Commission consider safe for their intended cosmetic purpose. This is kind of the backbone of the Monat selling point, that they're the best of the best, they're the safest, most effective, most rigorously tested hair care on the market or whatever. Whether any of that is true is a completely different story, but that's the selling point that the reps push nonetheless. So to learn that the company is selling products a full year after that ingredient is banned in the EU is really problematic. The ingredient she's referencing is butaphenyl methylpropionyl, also known as Lilal. It's a synthetic fragrance. It's put in the product to make it smell nice. And it was banned in the EU on March 1st of 2022 because of its potential connection to reproductive and fertility issues. It's not banned in the US, so I guess you can technically still sell it in your US market, but it's certainly deceptive to be telling your market partners that your products meet a certain standard of safety when they don't. And then taking the deception one step further by just making a quick edit on the website to save face without actually taking the dangerous ingredient out of your product.
But I'll read it to you. It is butaphenyl methylpropionyl. And again, I don't know the extent to how much is in it. I don't know. But at the end of the day, that ingredient, it's also called Lilal, is another word for it. That other word for it is not on the new ingredient list, just so we're clear. That ingredient has been banned in the EU. One of the reasons that I felt comfortable selling Monat products and using them on myself as somebody with hormone issues, as somebody with chronic illness, and sharing that with my community of people who also, many of whom are ingredient conscious, the reason that I was willing to put my name with a company that did that is because I was told that they met EU standards. And I was sent something that would not meet EU standards a full year after it was banned in the EU. And again, don't treat this as fact, treat this as personal opinion, personal whatever. Nothing is to be taken as fact. Use your own discernment, but ask yourself, if enough things start not adding up for you, how long are you going to play along?
I have to agree, it is concerning when a company claims that they uphold the very strict EU standards that are stricter than those of the United States and other countries in all their territories where Monat is active, but then an ingredient banned in Q1 in 2022 in the EU is listed on the bottles of market partners that market partners could get in a grab bag in 2023. Lilal is not an ingredient that is banned in the United States. It is not illegal to sell products with that ingredient there, but in my opinion, it is highly, highly unethical when you claim that you uphold the strict standards, but then sell products that do not uphold those standards. Products including the Lilal ingredient had to be pulled from all EU markets in 2022, and the UK, which is not a part of the EU anymore, so that is the UK, Spain, Poland, Ireland, Lithuania, not in France because France launched after 2022. They had to legally pull the products from those 5 markets. That was not a nice to have, that was a legal requirement and an absolute must have. Here is more Monat Tetris. Bear with me. I sat on a Monat call where the CEO of the company plus their head chemists spoke for an hour and a half, allegedly addressing if they changed ingredients in their products. They said nothing of value for the most part. It was just a brainwashing session. It was cringy. It was bad. They said the most important thing in the last minute of this freaking ass long call. I decided to not cover that call, but Julie Anderson did, and she did so in a very entertaining, funny, and also informative way. I will link the video down below if you want to see the entire video. I would encourage you to do so. It was really eye-opening also to see how Monat operates when real, legitimate, factual questions are being asked. They're just gaslighting and brainwashing their people, and we will take a look at a short clip from this video as well.
And the big question of the night.
Holy shit, we finally get to it. Big question of the night. How big was the fish that you caught? It was this big.
Have we changed the formulas? Jim, have we changed the formulas?
No.
For which formula?
And have we changed the formulas?
For which one? Have we changed the formulas? It's like the title of the presentation says, has Monat changed their ingredients? He's like, have we changed the formulas? Like he can't even get the question right. Jim's like, for which one? Oh shit, I made another Freudian slip. For the shampoo, for all of the hair care products, Jim. That's what we're talking about. That's why you're here.
At all?
No.
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 Yeah, we have a statement.
Oh, that was convincing. There you have it. You can stop watching the video right now. No.
So according to Monat and their head chemist, who had been in Monat at that time for 3 months, talking about the history of Monat over the past 10 years, and then you have somebody speaking who has been with Monat for 3 months, they said that they didn't change the formula in Monat products. There is nothing to worry about. But comments under Julie's videos led to Julie making an updated short version because commenters under her video claimed that Lilal is also still listed on bottles in Australia, as we also have heard on this team call. Lilal is also not banned in Australia, but allegedly in 2024, bottles with that ingredient listed are still available in Australia. No wonder the market partners now also in Australia are confused, and there is no trust in Monat, and there can be no trust in Monat when an ingredient that had to be banned in the EU in March 2022 is still around, allegedly in the United States and also in Australia, and the company has not been able to properly address this and to solve the issues to get rid of the bottles that have that ingredient with the higher standards that Monat is assigning themselves to. They would have to remove those bottles, but apparently those bottles with Lilal, a banned ingredient in the EU, is still available in Australia, according to people commenting under Julie's video, and also according to Monat market partners in the US. To me, in my personal opinion, it looks like that Monat has removed products with Lilal, an ingredient that they cannot sell in Europe anymore, but they didn't get rid of the bottles, which would also involve higher cost. But they try to get rid of the products in other territories where Lilal is not banned. That is not illegal, I'm saying it yet again, but it is super deceptive to try and get rid of the products by pushing them into grab bags or trying to sell them off in other territories. And the market partners rightfully say, hey, there is Lilal on the ingredients list. Something is not matching up. Weren't those supposed to be taken out of the formulation? Why do I still have shampoo with that banned ingredient? Something is not adding up, and it looks like Monat is not doing a proper job at removing the products. They're just giving them in grab bags for a reduced price what it seems to me, to their existing market partners in other territories, and that is why their own market partners do not trust Monat anymore. This was an excursion into the ingredient scare in Monat in the past. I think it is important to mention it here because it was also mentioned in the Teamhuddle, and that is also one of the reasons why I believe there is not a lot of trust in Monat anymore, and why there is an additional confusion when former market partners who also seem to be ingredient conscious now speak up about these topics publicly, either because they have a social media profile and they share that in an email, or because former market partners open an Instagram page where they speak about those topics as well when it comes to modern nature. It's not a good look for the company, and it's not a good look for the leaders that are currently still in Monat that try to hush this.
With this market partner that has created this account, I will say I had spent months and months of my time with her, answering every single question that she had, troubleshooting anything that, you know, she needed help with, you know, breaking down different things like delivery times, going back to customer service and reporting what she was reporting. Like, I did my very best to help solve a lot of the things that she was complaining about. And I will say, when people are coming into this business, a red flag definitely, and I, you know, me being me, I gave her a lot of my time. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I saw the red flag, but I chose to see the good instead. But a red flag coming into this business is somebody who wants to join the business that thinks it's a scam from day one, that only wants to join the business to see if it's not a scam. And they want to come in and pick it apart and complain about every single little thing. Okay. And the other thing is, you know, when she was bringing people into the team, I was never allowed access to those people. I couldn't support her in her team chat. I didn't know what she was doing. It was very hard to communicate with her downline and support them in their questions and things like that. And so the other red flag is when people come into this business and they are not coachable and they are not willing and they are not hungry to do this business and really learn and really be on these calls and really, you know, actively taking information in a way that there's not always going to be like something to come from it, whether it be negative or whatever it is. Like, every single time that I came back and I tried to answer or I tried to do my very best to help, it was like it was never good enough, number one, and it was always complaining, number two. Okay, so for me, having her in my team as my level one was a massive learning curve, to be honest, and also makes me feel you know, more discerning in terms of who comes into the business in the future. If I see a red flag from the beginning, I know exactly what to do. Okay, when I came into this business, I was still very much learning the ropes. I'm still very much learning this business model. I'm still very much figuring out you know, a more effective way to run the team, especially because there's a lot of people that can come into this business and take up a lot of your time and then literally like leave the next day and don't even say a thank you for taking up all of your time. And, you know, really like being mindful about all the time that is given to this business is time that is taken away from our families. Okay. So if you're sitting on a one-on-one call with me, if you're here on this call right now, I know that this time is taken away from your families, and I deeply appreciate you guys giving me that time right now. Okay. But when that respect is not reciprocated, or when that is not considered, to me, honestly, that is when I will start to draw the line, because I have such a massive team. I have a massive front line. I cannot be giving everyone and anyone like 20 hours of my day every single day. It's literally not possible. I have to really pick and choose and be discerning who gets my time on a day-to-day basis. And that is just how it has to go. Like, at the start, when I was bringing people in, I had I was learning, I had time to give. But now, as we're moving into the second year of this team, which means that we have leaders rising, we have people progressing through the ranks, we have people bringing into the team their downlines now, I need to be really smart about where my time is actually going and what's going to move the needle in this business as well, which, you know, it's the evolution of the business. You guys will find that the same way that you run the team at the start is not going to be the same way that you run your team a year in or 2 years in or 5 years in. Okay. It's going to look very different, and we have to evolve according to, you know, what is happening inside of our business. So that is something I want you guys to be mindful of. If you see something, or if you're watching something on social media, please know, number one, like, there is never a reason why you can't bring anything to me. I would pray to God that I am somebody who is approachable. I know sometimes I can be very direct and straight up, and, like, you know, sometimes I will give the tough love or just say what it is that I need to say. But I really try my very best to make sure that I'm approachable, that if you're coming to me, you know, and it's a serious question, I'm going to give you my time and I'm going to go and have a look into it. Like, if I haven't answered thoroughly just yet, it's because I've gone to go and have a look at it, and I'm in conversations literally with corporate and literally with other leaders that are in this company as well, like the Jess Etzels and the Denises and, you know, the Sarah Howarths, like all those girls. We're all like talking about this right now, because it's not just our team that is discussing these things that are coming up, you know, all of the negativity that's on social media. It's all of our teams that are dealing with it. So we are trying to come together and literally like mastermind it as to how we actually provide a really solid and in-depth and thorough, I guess, resource to give to all of our teams, not just one of our teams, but all of our teams, in terms of how to actually navigate these types of conversations or these questions that can come up in this business as well.
Yet again, so much more to break down in just this short bit, because now it is a red flag to join Monat and say, I want to see if it's a scam. I'm a skeptic. I'm a big no. I believe it is a scam now because people left and are critical about Monat. Now this is a scam. What about some of the top distributors in the US, like the Krista Parneys and the Ivy Carnegies, who were the biggest no you can get? They were the biggest hater. They were the greatest skeptics. They didn't believe that Monat was a legitimate thing. They believed it was a scam. Those sob stories, I was critical of Monat. I was critical of network marketing. Now I understand it's not a scam because I am able to make a lot of money. That is an important part of market partners' rags to riches. Hey, I was a skeptic before. I completely get it. But now that former market partners speak out about this, now it's a red flag. That's hypocritical, very hypocritical. It seems to me that the top Monat Huns in Australia, she mentioned a couple of names, they're starting to freak out because those former market partners who now publicly shared their experience, they can and have led to the downfall of network marketing companies, as we also currently see in Monat with the termination of former top people. Monat is bleeding market partners, and the US Huns at the top, they were able to benefit for years. In Australia, the Huns did not have that much time to recruit people and benefit before those people leave again, so they're kind of on a time crunch. They don't have the 10 years the top market partners in the US might potentially have had. The market partners who are at the top in Monat Australia have less time to benefit of the people in their downline, because we can already see that Monat Australia starts to crumble and starts to crumble at an even faster pace. Monat Australia launched in November 21, 3 years ago, as opposed to 7, 8, 9, 10 years in the US before the top people's downline started to crumble. That is why I believe critics, especially those who were in Monat, have to be discredited. Do not listen to them. Come to me. I will help you. They never had good intentions, but we do. This is manipulation straight out of the network marketing handbook, as we have seen over and over and over again in team calls, because transparent conversations are not possible in network marketing companies. The teams would crumble quicker if there were actual transparent discussions happening and they would be put out into the open. Network marketing companies would bleed market partners quicker if they were actually transparent. And that is why we need to create an echo chamber like the one we see here. And what I also take away from this little speech is that you do not run your own company. You do not run your own business. Because if you ran your own business, and you thought a market partner had bad intentions, you wouldn't hire them. It's not in the upline's control who signs up with them. Everybody can sign up under the people they want to, and the upline has no control over that. Of course, it doesn't make a lot of sense to sign up with somebody who doesn't want to teach you anything. I get it, but those people are not in charge of their teams. They're not in charge who they work with, and they do not hire these people, but everybody can sign up under them because it's a paycheck. It's a starter kit, at least, that they sell. Top people are in control of nothing. And that's, I think, something they now also start to see, whether they're able to acknowledge that themselves or not, but they're not in charge of anything. The people who sign up under you, they're in charge of their own teams. They don't need to give you access to their teams. They can ask a lot of critical questions if they don't have access to the corporate side. If they're not a part of the leader chats, they depend on the uplines to also give them the information they need, and they can be disappointed if they don't receive the information they find very important and very vital, and the upline cannot kick these people out. They can ignore them, and I agree, if you have a team of 20 people, you need to approach people differently than when you have a team of 500 people, but that is a natural progression in network marketing if one team is able to grow, and that's what we see here very, very clearly.
All right, I think I've said enough about that. Amelia, do you want to jump in there before I go to the next point?
Yeah, I might just quickly have a quick chat. You've covered the majority of in regards to what I feel in with the team, as in moving forward, what we're here to do, how much time we can give, and really what the intention is behind the community that we're cultivating here as well. But one thing that I actually voiced to Tay today was like all these things that are coming up, ingredients, the Capixyl, the this, the that. It's nothing that I haven't heard back before from market partners that have actually left Monat, whether or not they're in America, not in our team. So for me, I wasn't rattled, as Tay would say, in regards to hearing that information. And, I'm currently pregnant. I've breastfed when I started Monat, and I've used products with Capixyl in them the whole time. And I remember having a conversation very early on with somebody about, the red clover. And for me, it wasn't a concern because of the trace elements that it is inside Capixyl. And, we're not ingesting red clover as a supplement, as such. So topically for me, I truly do believe that, I believe in Monat as a company, and I believe in what they stand for and what they say their products are, safe and effective. And if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be using them, and then I wouldn't be, marketing them or social selling them, recommending them to my loved ones, family, friends. If I truly, in my heart, didn't believe that the products were safe and effective. So I think it also comes back to what you believe yourself in your heart. Do you trust this business? And it's not just about trusting me or trusting Tay. It's you. Do you trust Monat? Do you trust the products? And, really sitting with that. So then, because I've had many people ask me different things about different ingredients coming from the low tox crunchy community and all things like that. So I remember very early on, we did like a low tox call. What's the difference between low tox and Monat? Because the language is a language barrier between Australia and the US. The US will say it's no tox, clean beauty. That's the way they market it, because their, I guess, other products are so highly toxic, like that you buy from the drugstore. Whereas we always say low tox, high performing, so we've never said that, the products are completely no tox, organic, and all the things. We've always been open and transparent since the start, and everybody can choose what they want to use with hair care, skincare, anything, with the clothes you wear, whether or not you wear cotton or polyester. Like, we all get to choose that within ourselves and what we feel comfortable in. So just really think of that when, I guess, there is a big email blast that goes out about something, or there is an account that's been made up. I will share that I didn't get rattled about the account that was made up, but it hit my heart space when I saw her. There's no other way to put it, but she talked a lot of cuckabum, I don't want to swear, about me. And I've actually never, I've had things happen in the past with me growing up and all of that stuff. So I've been talked about, but my integrity and my character has never been spoken about in the way that it was. And I have never had scripture. That was a new one for me. Scripture being pulled out and used against me for my own words. That was big for me. And I really had to sit with it and pray. And I will share that, that what has circulated through that, I know that this person unfortunately has a stronghold against her, because somebody who comes from a loving and genuine space doesn't speak ill of others that they actually know are genuine. And this person who has made this MLM page has literally ate at my table. She came to my house with her child, and I gave her open arms since the start of the business. So for her to then, and then just outside for a minute, go son, please. So then for that to be thrown in my face, it was another eye opener for me, because I am a very loving and trusting person. And as Tay said, the red flag was there for me since the start, since the first onboarding we did with her. And I voiced it to Tay, but we gave her the benefit of the doubt. And at the end of the day, it did bite us in the ass, but it is a learning curve for us as leaders and growing leaders in this space that we are in. And I hope that everybody who's on this call and who watches the recording knows that Tay and I do have genuine hearts, and we do show up from a place of authenticity, and we don't have anything to hide. Do you know what I mean? We really don't. We're all here to grow a business for our families. We're not here to shut other people down and, discourage others. We're here to uplift people. And I truly hope that that's what you feel when you come into our community and you're on our training calls and you meet us in person and all of that, because there's nothing else that I, truly want in this business but to see other people be successful underneath us, and know that, everybody can be successful no matter, where you do come from and things like that. So I just really wanted to share that as well, because like I said, it was very eye-opening for me when she started to speak about, not only, obviously she's spoken about Tay, but she's done that since the start, but then when she started to speak about me, just Excel Sarah Howarth, I was like, hold on a minute, you're speaking about people that have never been spoken about before, and their communities love and adore them in this space. So more red flags for me, and she almost solidified that what she is doing is completely irrational. And yeah, Monat has terminated her account because she's been non-compliant. Yeah.
This is gaslighting at its best. What about the great heart and really trying to uplift people? The attitude is really off-putting. I don't know anything about this individual personally. From the way she presents herself on this Teamhuddle, no, you're not a good leader. That just a first lesson in actual leadership. You're not a good leader if you let this kind of attitude out towards a former member of the team. I understand that that can make people sad and angry, but in the end, Monat is a business, and it shows clearly as well, yet again, that you are not running your own business. You do not choose who you work with. Everybody who wants to join you can join you. And if you ran your own business, you would be in control of all of that. And I would argue that everybody who is in a network marketing company needs to get over the fact that people they might consider friends or friendly will leave the team at some point, and they might speak up critically about this business. That is just a must-have. That is something that you need to learn. You must be able to distinguish personal from business. And it's quite obvious that that is not possible here. Another thing that she says is, everybody can be successful here. No, because that is one of the main critique points of network marketing, that in network marketing structures, only very few people can be successful and even make a profit. And not because the participants lack work ethic, but it is because the business model is designed like that. It is irrelevant how much heart and how much honesty you put into a business and into team trainings. These are facts about network marketing, and these are facts about Monat you cannot ignore forever or cover under a layer of positivity. Like most people in the company losing money, that is factual. Or that Monat has a good amount of products with an ingredient called Capixyl. A lot of hair care products have Capixyl, a patented hair loss topical ingredient that can promote hair growth and hair thickening. Capixyl is a combination of two active ingredients, red clover extract, and something I cannot pronounce. That is why I will just show it to you on the screen. Capixyl is generally considered as safe to use topically, but side effects are possible. Most commonly known side effects are itching, skin allergies, muscle pains, headaches, and vaginal bleeding. And Capixyl, because of the red clover, acts like the hormone estrogen and may affect female hormones, especially during pregnancy and while breastfeeding. There is a lack of scientific evidence from long-term studies on humans how high doses of Capixyl topically and while ingested could affect our hormone balance, but it is not recommended to use these products while pregnant or breastfeeding. Capixyl is not one of those ingredients that are banned in the EU in cosmetic products, and they're also not banned in Australia. Monat lists this ingredient, Capixyl, that we're talking about here on their website, but they do not give a disclaimer, for example, that it is not recommended to use these products while pregnant or while breastfeeding. So some women, like Emilia, the person who just spoke, might be comfortable using those products while pregnant or breastfeeding. Some women might not be comfortable using it, and I'm personally not a fan of fear-mongering. I'm personally not worried about these types of ingredients in general, and I do not know how much of a product dose you have to take in so that it could be harmful, and whether you take it topically or you ingest it can also play a role. But I think it is an important information to give to potential consumers. Hey, this could have an effect on you if you are pregnant or if you're breastfeeding or if you're conscious about that in general and you might have hormonal issues and you're afraid that this could have a negative effect on you. Somebody who is not involved in this crunchy idea, I'm not super conscious about the ingredients when it comes to those type of ingredients in mainstream products that you can get, or in this case in Monat. I do not support Monat, of course, but I'm personally not super worried about that. But if I were pregnant at the moment, or if I were breastfeeding, I would be extremely cautious, because you do have a certain responsibility, not just for yourself anymore, but also for your unborn baby or for the baby that you're breastfeeding. So that is kind of negligent, especially in modern nature, a company that has a predominantly female sales force. And a lot of those women, it's one of their pitches is, I have a lot of children and I'm able to stay at home and take care of my kids. I find it very negligent to at least not address this topic on the website. But Monat currently doesn't do that. I also understand that somebody who lives this ingredient conscious lifestyle, this crunchy lifestyle, wants to be more mindful and needs to be more careful about about the ingredients. And it sounds quite contradicting to say, I'm very conscious, I'm very mindful about what I put into my body and what I sell. But then these people are in Monat. They use those products or some of those products and they sell those products. And that is a huge part in the email that Carly wrote to a lot of ex-distributors, to other team members, and also to their customers. And that is something that will come up now and that will set the leaders off yet again. While it might be acceptable for some to use this ingredient, also in the crunchy community, I would also expect a good salesperson who is on top of that and a company who is on top of that as well to be conscious about ingredients, to advise me as a woman, the group most affected by Capixyl, to be mindful about that ingredients, and we're currently lacking this.
There was something that I was going to say and then I lost it, but it'll come back to me. All right, so then the next thing, I'm going to open it up just after, because while it's fresh in my brain, I just want to get this out. And if you guys want to like write down some questions or like write down some things, write it down, and then we're going to come to it after this part, and then we're going to open up this call, because I want everyone to be able to really feel like, you know, we have a place to speak and we are able to express what we want to express and we don't have to keep it to ourselves. So the next part of this is Carly Modra, who was in our team, who was very active, and a lot of you guys respected her. She was very active in the main chat. She had come from a previous network marketing company, and she did really well in that company. And she was, I think, second rank or third rank from the top. She reached out to me last December, and she wanted to join our team. I'd never met Carly before. I've never seen her before. You know, didn't really have a relationship before. And again, as with anybody who reaches out to me in my DMs, and everyone who's on this call who signed with me, you will know, if you're reaching out to me in my DMs and we're having a conversation, like, you've got me, like, you know, it's me, it's not some robot. It's like, you know, I want to do my very best to support you. If you're interested in joining the team, I'm going to be answering any questions and really help guide you to your decision, whether that be to join the team or not. And obviously a lot of you guys that were in combo with me are in the team. Okay. So everybody that I speak to in my DMs, like, I speak to them exactly the same. Like, I try my very best not to be pushy. I don't think I am pushy. I think I really do help people to, you know, make their own decision when the time is right for them. And so Carly has been in the team, okay, and she's definitely someone who was quite prominent. She was definitely active in the chat. She had created quite a lot of resources. She had run some training calls. We were very appreciative of Carly and her time and her insight, you know, and her experience in the network marketing company. Anybody who comes in with experience from other companies, like, of course, we want to hear, you know, what has happened. We want to learn. We want to see how, you know, how things may be done, you know, in terms of systems, right? Which is something that Carly definitely shared with us. I'm going to say, I reflecting back, I don't think Carly signed with me to genuinely learn from me or be coached by me or be mentored by me. That was becoming very obvious towards the end of our conversations. There was an issue privately between us in our conversations where she did not agree with something or how I mentored her in a conversation that we had. So she tried to call me out on that. And so then we went into, you know, a lot of discussion around what had happened and trying to help her unpack a lot of things in her business and things that were going on. So I, again, spent months and months and months with Carly, hours and hours and hours of my time. And then it got to a point where there was complete silence. And I think a lot of you guys might have noticed that she completely went silent, MIA. There was no word from her, I think, for at least a couple of weeks or maybe 3 weeks. And I know that she was saying that she was taking a digital detox, but that happened after we had a hard conversation in this business. And I'm going to say, guys, hard conversations in this business are required. Amelia and I have had hard conversations. Like, if you're in business with somebody, you can't just think that everything's going to be like rainbows and sunshines. We have to have hard conversations. And so the very first, you know, big hard conversation that I had with her, it was not received well at all. And then that was when the silence happened, the radio silence. And so I did my very best to come back and check in with her. I offered more conversations. Did we want to have another call? Did we want to speak about what had happened? And she came back to me and pretty much said that she has had a change of heart and that she didn't want to do the business, or she wasn't going to be focusing on team building anymore. She was going to be focusing on just customers, like doing the oil and stuff like that, but she was not going to be building a team. And she was being called elsewhere. And so I was like, beautiful, like, totally understand. If she had ever changed her mind, the door was always open for her to come back into new season. And she said that she knew that she was welcome back. Okay. And that was how it was left. There was nothing after that. Okay. And I kept it very professional. If there's any time where somebody is leaving or someone, you know, feels like they want to leave, like, you will not get anything from me but, you know, love and professionalism. And I wish you well, because I know that in this business, people come and people go. Okay. People don't come and stay forever. It's not the reality of this business. People come and people go. Even the people that you think are going to be here for a very long time, because that is what they've told you. I've learned that a lot of people will talk the talk, but not actually walk the walk. A lot of people will say all the right things, but don't actually back it up with the action and will leave. Okay. That is very common in this business. And I think if we can just be really honest about that, I think it will kind of lessen the blow next time that happens to you or me or somebody else. That is just the reality of this business. And it is hard to digest sometimes because you do like see the potential, you do pour a lot of your time and effort into people. It's hard when people just walk away and don't even say a thank you for your time and just leave it at that, and you feel like you're really invested in their evolution in this business, not because it just you only benefited and you only gain. It's because you genuinely could see how this could evolve and where it was going and the team that was being built, and it was very exciting and inspiring. So that was left, and she had sent a message, and that was it. And then it was like, I think 2 or 3 weeks later, I came back to Carly and I asked her if she felt called, could she please come back into the main group and let everybody know that she was leaving, just so that everybody, could understand like where Carly was at the time, because it was like she had been answering so many questions in my chat, and then all of a sudden it was MIA and there was crickets. So I asked her, would you be able to come back into the team if she didn't mind, and just, let people know, or let the team know where she was going and that she wasn't going to be here anymore. There was a lot of people asking me questions about where Carly had gone. I said it would be really helpful if we could just, close this out like that. Anyway, she didn't reply to me at all. She came back into the main chat. She said what she said, and she was leaving, and everyone wished her well, and that was fine, and that was it. Okay. In these conversations that I have had with Carly, not once, not ever did anything come up about hair loss, about her hormonal condition that she had, even her daughters, about Capixyl. Nothing ever, never heard of it. Didn't come out of her mouth. Okay. So when Carly had sent out this big email recently discussing about her experience and what had happened in her pre-existing condition, honestly, that blindsided all of us. It blindsided me because I had no idea that was happening. She never mentioned anything. Once did she raise a concern ever from January to, I think it was August that we were doing the business. Never once did it ever come up, ever.
That just shows, in my opinion, yet again, that you're not running your own business, because no disrespect to anybody who's new in network marketing, or who's new to a job, or who is new to an endeavor. Why would an experienced network marketer like this Carly person, who was already successful in another MLM, joined Monat under a different person, left again, joined under this team, why would they listen to an upline who joined network marketing just really recently? Taylor's advantage is that she already had a following on social media because she is married to a former Australian pro sports personality, and she is a very, very controversial figure in the health and wellness influencer scene when she interferes with and disrupts medical professionals who take mandatory vaccination measures to stop the outbreak of measles. Taylor, the person predominantly speaking on this call, is not a medical professional. She claims that she does her research, but she is not a medical professional, which is super important when we're talking about medical topics. She only has subjective views that she adds to conversations she many, many times is not even invited to. She was and is very careful what she puts into her body and on her body, ingredient conscious. And then she joined Monat to make money and to profit of people who have, I believe, the same understanding of health and wellness, who have the same beliefs as her. She is now shocked that these exact people who were attracted to her in some way, shape, or form at the business opportunity now ask critical questions about Monat products, the business model, and the obvious lack of transparency in network marketing companies they experience. A lot of those points, I believe, are very relevant, and I understand why the current market partners are shook by somebody they do like. This was not somebody who was a horrible individual apparently in Monat. This was a very well-liked leader with former experience from a former network marketing company. The person was well-liked. And for them to send out an email warning about the business models, the entitled leaders, and also the ingredients must be an absolute shocker. Carly says, in short, in the email, I experienced hair loss with the usage of Monat products, so did my daughter. I have hormonal issues, and I believe those got worse, possibly because of some ingredients in Monat products. That is why I stopped using Monat products and I stopped selling the products. And the other crunchy leaders on the team, they do not take this seriously, although lots of us joined because we believed them and their integrity when it comes to good ingredients and product safety. And I believe those other self-proclaimed leaders like Taylor, like Jess Etzel, all also crunchy Huns, continue Monat to make money, and they jeopardize their integrity and their morals by doing so, by selling products that could harm female reproduction to their predominantly female customers and team members. Products that do not align with their own publicly displayed values. That is what I gather from this. Once again, take a look at the full email yourself if you want to read it in its entirety. I think it's important to take a look at that as well. That is what I gather from this email, and that is why the leaders are shocked, because somebody calls them out and they don't just shy away and they don't just leave the network marketing company. They do so publicly. And that is a trend we have seen over the past years more and more often, because in the past it was people leaving a network marketing company and they were quiet. But that has changed. A lot of former Monat distributors speak up, and a lot of former distributors in general speak up. They're able to gather a good following on social media, and they're now able to advise on the risks and on the dangers of network marketing companies and their products, who they pretended were awesome and the most amazing thing on planet Earth when they were in the network marketing company. But they now come clear and say, you know what? They weren't that great. They were okay, but they were overpriced for what they were. And that is damaging to network marketing, and that is damaging to this team. And a lot of people on this team are confused, and they're hurt, and they're mad, and they're sad. And it just shows that they operate within an echo chamber, within a cult, and it's hard for them to grasp what is really going on. Monat is going under, so is Monat Australia, and we see history repeating itself. We've seen that in the US over the past couple of years, and this is currently also happening in Australia.
So reading that information in the big email that Carly sent out, and if anybody has not read the email, like, you're more than welcome to go back and read the email if you want to after this call, because I know a lot of what I'm saying probably doesn't make sense right now, but if you read the email, it will make sense. So I want to say that that was never ever discussed ever. So I read that and I was like, okay, well, I had never heard of that before. And this is a thing you guys need to understand. Carly didn't just sign with me and wasn't fresh to the business. Carly had originally signed with Jess Etzel 2 years ago, and she was working the business with Jess Etzel and her downline and was using the products. Okay, so then she stopped doing Monat with Jess Etzel, left her team, waited 6 months, and then signed into business with me. Okay, so Carly was not brand spanking new to Monat. It wasn't like she'd never not heard about Capixyl, never used their product. She had already had an experience with the products. Okay, so when this information was coming out, there was a lot of different things that didn't really add up in terms of what I was reading. Okay, I'd never heard about anything like this from her mouth ever, and it's fine if like she actually like was her experience, and you know, and now she's wanting to share it. That is totally fine. But I'm saying, as somebody who worked very closely with her, and you guys were on calls with her as well, like, I never heard of that before ever. This was just only being freshly brought up in this email that she wanted to send out to everybody to alarm everybody about what was going on. And I will say, like, if you have read that email, there is a lot in that email that I feel like is directly targeted to a lot of mothers like us or people like us in the medical freedom movement, to make us feel guilty, to make us feel wrong, to make us feel negligent that we are still in this business. And that was probably one of the biggest things that I had an issue with straight off the bat. And I think in the first couple of paragraphs was the point that she was making about, if you're still selling these products, you have a duty of care to share this with other people, or you have a duty of care to let your clients or your team know. Okay, there were so many different things that were standing out to me that I felt very like, to me, coming from the background that I have, a product that is mandated to be injected into your child's arm or your body or your child's body is not the same as an optional shampoo that you can or cannot use according to your own choices in life. Okay, it is not the same thing. When we're talking about ingredients, obviously topical absorption, 100% there's merit to that conversation, and we can have that conversation. Yes, they will say that there is trace elements of things in certain ingredients. Okay, and I also come from a background where I understand that trace elements absolutely can have an effect on people, and some people, and maybe some people not. So I'm not discounting that part of the argument. And that is, after when I finish this part, I will go into that in terms of how we are going to evolve and change up a couple things with our team to really make sure that we are being super mindful and really tending to our potential customers' needs and having a much more in-depth conversation if they do have an underlying or pre-existing condition, okay? Because there are other options that we can offer, and we do have solutions for this, okay? But I do want to say the there's lots of different things that were brought up in that email. The other thing being about how she was treated when she left. Like, I'm just going to say these points, and I'll go to the main points of the Capixyl and the ingredients and things that she was pointing out, because she did point out another ingredient about a PFAS being a chemical that does not break down in the body. Okay, and that is in our some of our styling products. Okay, so there's definitely things that we can take from that email that we can absolutely like be thankful for and work with. And there are definitely things in that email that honestly like discredited a lot of what she was saying, to be honest, because there was a lot of incongruencies. It didn't match up. It didn't match up to her, like what we experienced with her in the team, and also how I run the team as well, right? Never ever do I ever say to gaslight a customer. If a customer or someone in the team is coming to you and they're experiencing something, I've never encouraged you to dismiss or gaslight or not encourage any questions to be asked. Okay, that is not how we run the team. We have always said, okay, cool. Like, even how Dory and Abby Tamrin train us about troubleshooting with customers, they don't even encourage anybody to gaslight. We ask questions, we get more curious, we see what else is happening, we acknowledge that has been their experience, and we see if there are any other factors that might be coming into play here. Okay, so you guys can tell me in terms of the last year of how I run this team, have I ever encouraged you guys to gaslight any customers, any teamies? Like, have I ever told you to, you know, hush and don't talk about this and don't talk about that? Like, that is not how I personally feel like I operate. And anytime the question has come up, I've always, if I don't know the answer to it, I'm going straight to corporate and I'm asking corporate for the answer or what is going on here, so that I can come back and help us all understand what is going on. One of the bigger things that stood out for me in the email in terms of things that weren't adding up was the hair loss thing. Okay, so the hair loss experience that apparently thousands of people have had, and that thousands of people that are claiming to have had, that was definitely noted in the email. And then in the next paragraph, there was a mention of this only happens to some people who use Monat. Okay, and then the end of the email, it was, this is happening to thousands of people again, right? So from my background and experience, especially when it comes to like breaking down emails or information like this, I literally start to sit down and pick it all apart and write down my dot points and see where things are not matching up and where things are, you know, have been taken out of context, because there definitely were things that are taken out of context. The other thing is using inflammatory language, like we're playing Russian roulette with women's lives that could be impacting their hormones. Where there is risk, there must be choice when it comes to using shampoo. I'm pretty sure I can solidly speak from experience in that. Again, an injection that is mandated is not the same as a choice to use a shampoo product or not.
Interesting that inflammatory language is now being critiqued because people use this, according to her, but those are the people who have left. We have seen inflammatory language on this entire call so far. Just saying. Market partners who now speak up critically about Monat, and they do so publicly, they now are always red flags. People who come in without genuine intentions. It cannot be that they joined Modern Nature, they recognized what a horrible business model network marketing is and what a shit show Monat is, and now they feel inclined to speak about this. Can never be that. You have to be a horrible individual, you must be misleading, you have a hate page. You need to create a distance between yourself and those former market partners or the outside world, I think, when you are in a company like this, to make sense of this. What I believe Taylor is doing here is completely missing the point. Maybe she really doesn't get it. Maybe she's missing the point on purpose. I believe that is rather the case. I think she does understand the hypocrisy of her being in Monat with her past, because she posted about it as well on Instagram. It looks extremely hypocritical that someone like her, who is publicly known to have such extreme views on medicine, health, and lifestyle, would join Modern Nature and sell mass-produced, overpriced, and overrated shampoos in a network marketing model, and that she does not question and publicly address concerns about potentially hazardous ingredients when she is otherwise so willingly to publicly compare the mandated vaccination against a deadly measles outbreak with Nazi Germany. You don't need to have a master's degree or a doctor title to understand this. She speaks about this in a little bit also, that she had to fight with herself to give her son, who now has asthma, a pharmaceutical inhaler. That is the kind of person that we're talking about. The person who allowed vaccinated nurses cater to her dying father. Her father's death, she's also honest about that, which I appreciate, put a lot into perspective for her. And I get that that can change your world and your worldview. And you might also change your mind as you grow older and as you make those experiences, how you want to live life and what is important in life for you after such a tragic event like watching the loss of a parent. But that doesn't mean that you have to become a shampoo dealer. The hypocrisy is still there, even though she says, hey, I made progress in my life. It is still hypocritical to the core, and I understand why former market partners critique her for that, because she cannot really counteract this claim.
And every single ingredient that we have, and yes, there was a discrepancy with the Lilal that is being fixed up, but every other ingredient that if you guys wanted to go and have a look at, it is listed publicly on the website. Nobody is withholding that information from you. Nobody is holding the package insert from you. Everybody has their own right to go and do their own research and read the ingredients and go and individually research the ingredients if you choose to, not just in our team, but customers as well. Okay. If you go to your website, if you're sending somebody a website, if you want to look into the ingredients, send them your website. They can go and look at the products and they can go and look at the ingredients that are listed as well to do their own research. Okay. Everybody does have a choice when it comes to using Monat or not. The only thing that I will say is, like, when we are now in conversation with potential customers or people, market partners, we will be asking them if they have pre-existing hormonal conditions and if they are sensitive to red clover extract. Okay, that is something that is going to be in our quizzes from now on. And this is not something that is being set from corporate or even other leaders in different teams. This is something that I feel like will really help us do a much more thorough consult so that we can have a better conversation, a better experience with customers to see where they're at and how they're going with this, ingredient, or, if they do have a pre-existing condition or whatever it is, like, we can tailor something that doesn't have Capixyl in it. If that is going to be a serious issue for you or for customers, we can tailor a cart that doesn't have Capixyl in it. We've got the purifying shampoo, we've got the volume system, we've got the smoothing system or smoothing shampoo that doesn't have it. We have the obviously Rejuvenate oil. Like, there are a lot of products that we actually have that don't have Capixyl in it.
Did you catch that? This team will now start to include a medical questionnaire in their stupid hair quiz so that the customer can be best advised what products to use on their freaking hair. Monat does not do that. Other teams do not do that, but they will start to do that now to advise on the best hair care products while asking for your medical information. If you have hormonal issues in a hair quiz, do you have dry hair or do you have oily hair? And what about your thyroid? All good there? Okay, just asking. Thank you. How tone deaf do you have to be to ask medical information when you want to sell hair care products? Please do that. I mean, really do. Please do that. When Monat launches in Germany, March 1st, reach out to potential German market partners or to customers. That is the easiest way to get your ass terminated and to get Monat to shut down. Your medical records and your history and information is private and cannot be asked because someone wants to sell you a shampoo. Imagine going into a drugstore and the salesperson there asks you medical questions because you want to get a freaking shampoo. None of these women are medical professionals. No matter how much research they have done allegedly behind the scenes, no matter how conscious they are about ingredients, they are not medical professionals and they do not have private or medical consultations, digital consultations with their clients. They're selling Monat shampoo. They're not allowed to ask any of these questions. If they're worried about selling Monat products because they could potentially mess with women's hormones, then why are they still selling them? And that is where the money over morals part comes into play yet again, because she can make money in Monat thanks to her semi-celebrity status. And what also comes for me is yet again the unprofessional corporate side. This is all Monat. The distributors are playing guessing here. They're playing business. They're playing boss babes. Why is there no Q&A for the market partners approved by corporate for all territories to answer all of these concerns, potential questions, like before you use products with Capixyl, talk to a medical professional. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, or if you're worried about this. Or better, also add that to your website, Monat. That's really what I would advise. Since most customers and market partners are women, then we do not have to watch crunchy Monat Huns play businesswomen and guess the right answer and extend a hair quiz with medical questions. Why do they think no other team has done that? Why do they think Monat has not done that? Because it is illegal.
Okay, so it's not like we can't use any product whatsoever. It's just let's be more mindful and tailor the cart to somebody who has pre-existing hormonal conditions or is quite sensitive to this ingredient. If somebody is unaware, if they do, because a lot of women go about their day and they don't know that they have an underlying condition until a lot later on, at least we flagged it with them and we can let them know. Like if you feel like you've got anything, going on, or if you've experienced LS before or whatever it is, we can have a much more in-depth conversation as well if you feel like that is needed. Okay, but again, it's up to each individual market partner to discern how they're doing their consult with their customers. Okay, because at the end of the day, if somebody's buying their products off you, you're going to be the one that's troubleshooting with them. Okay, we can help you, but we can't speak to them on your behalf. You're the one that's going to have to go back to them and speak to them. All right, what else did I want to say here? I guess the other thing that I will just touch on before we do open it up is the money. Okay, so the big title of this email was "Women Like Us in This Business Choosing Money Over Integrity." Okay, and this is a phenomena that she felt like she needed to address. Is the women who will turn a blind eye and not actually dress anything because the money is there and they want the money and they're just focused on the money. Okay, I want to say, hand on heart, from my experience in this business, and especially witnessing other people, especially in Just Etzel's downline, because Just Etzel's downline are literally freedom keepers. They're all medical freedom advocates as well. I have never experienced anybody so far in my personal experience that has chosen to turn a blind eye and does not want to discuss this stuff because they don't want it to affect their paycheck. Okay, I am here to say, if there is something that is honestly going to come up and does not sit in my integrity, does not feel like I'm sitting in integrity to share, 100% I'm going to go straight to corporate and I'm going to address it. Okay, and I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to come back to you guys and I'm going to explain how we can navigate this storm, because I feel like this Capixyl thing is going to come up a lot. I feel like, for whatever reason, there's certain people in the medical freedom movement. Even when I first started, guys, like I copped so much for joining Monat. I had hundreds of people leave me. I was accused of all these things, of being money hungry, of not caring, of not, being health conscious anymore, right? And I just want to make a note as well before I go back to the money over integrity thing. In the last 2 years, since my dad has passed away, almost 2 years, I am not the same person. Like I also have to reintroduce myself as well. There are a lot of things that I tightly gripped onto once upon a time that I do not anymore, and I've let go. Right? For example, the first thing I'll say is like, I remember when I first went paleo and everything had to be paleo and everyone had to be paleo because it was the only way to live and it was the best way to eat. I don't eat paleo anymore, guys, okay? We are allowed to change our mind. We're allowed to become a different version of ourselves, okay? When my dad was on his literal deathbed and I had vaccinated nurses coming to help him stay alive in the coma that he was in, that was induced by medication, I was on my hands and knees thankful for the medical establishment, okay? Because it gave me at least 3 days after my dad went into a coma to still be with him and say my goodbyes. Okay, so when my dad passed away, and this was 6 months before I joined Monat, my whole perception on life started to shift and change. The things that I once, were so heavily against and so in bash and all these things that I was so staunch about, I was no longer staunch anymore because I was completely humbled. A lot of the things that I used to say, I ate my words on, and I realized that things are not so black and white. You can't grip onto everything and think that everyone has to live that way because it's not reality, okay? I have had to send my children to mainstream schooling, which I never said that I was going to do because I'm all about homeschooling. My kids go to a public school, guys. They are in the system. I had to loosen my grip on that because my mental health was suffering and I could not grieve properly in the way that I needed to while my children were, with me 24/7. It was not good for my mental health. I had to go and get support. And the support looks like that little country school 10 minutes down the road that is saving my mental health, that has allowed me space to pour into something that is just for me, which is this company. Okay. The other thing is like my holistic approach on everything, which it still 100% is. I love holistic health. But at the same time, there's a time and place for everything. And holistic medicine does not address the things that I need it to address in the time and place when it's an emergency. For example, my son now has an asthma puffer, and I will definitely be using that asthma puffer when he has an asthma attack and his breathing is compromised. Okay. I'm not going to just only rely on my homeopathy to get him through. When I need to use his puffer that is from freaking Pfizer, I will go and use his puffer. Okay. That is something that I never thought I would have to do again until my dad passed away and all of these things were triggered and my son's breathing was triggered because he's storing grief in his lungs and he internalizes quite a lot. Like I had to go and seek support. A lot of the things that I once was so against and just was so, I guess, arrogant, to be honest, about this is how it has to be and that's it. Like I was humbled, utterly humbled. And I've learned that I cannot grip onto things so tightly anymore. And if I'm going to go to a restaurant and I'm going to eat something in canola oil, I choose to do that, and that's okay. If I go down the shop and I can't get everything organic and I know it's sprayed with a pesticide, but I'm going to feed my child that strawberries because she loves it, that's okay. I've made that decision. Okay. And it's the same thing for me personally with this company. I understand that we've always said we're low tox, high performing. We've never said that we're no tox organic ever. We are low tox, which means there are active ingredients in our products, and I'm okay with using that. And that's not to say that you guys have to be okay. Like, you might not be okay, and that's totally fine. Everybody has the right to make their own decision and decide and discern what they want to allow into their homes and what they won't. Okay. It's for me, I'm okay with this. For right now, everything that I've come across, I'm okay with this. I feel comfortable with this. Does that mean I'm out of integrity because my life has changed and I have been humbled and this version of myself is completely different and I'm now out of integrity because I'm going to buy products that aren't, no tox organic, or I'm going to feed my children that is, not always organic, or, whatever it is. Okay, guys, like, I just want you guys to come back to your own moral compass and decide and discern for yourself and your own values what is okay and what is not. And if the ingredients in this company and these products are not okay, that is okay, you guys. You don't have to be here and do something that you don't feel in alignment with. I will love you guys and bless you on your way, and that is okay. I see you and I hear you, and I totally respect that that's your decision. For me, this is my decision to be here. This is my decision to use the products, even if it has Capixyl or not. I'm okay with the trace amount of, red clover extract that is in there. I'm okay with making that decision. And if I, 6 months down the track decide that I don't want to use Capixyl and I want to just stick with the Capixyl free products, I can do that as well, right? We have the decision to, the choice to make the decision for what we feel is best for ourselves. It doesn't mean that we're out of integrity because all of a sudden we're doing something that we once said that we weren't. It just means that we've evolved and we're a different version. And maybe I need to reintroduce myself to my whole freaking following, because I know that I built up a persona where they saw me in this light and I was absolutely so against so many things that I'm now okay with. So that's on me to reintroduce myself. That's not, a thing that I have to constantly uphold. And to me, that's me out of alignment. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not the version of myself that I was. And that's on me to reintroduce myself in terms of how I'm operating this company, my business inside of this company. Okay. And I'll finish on this with the money over integrity thing. Okay. This is a line that a lot of people will throw, and us anti-vaxxers should be so experienced in this, because it's the anti-vax line that so many people throw to dismiss and just, push shit on you, or just, completely squash any good thing that you are trying to do. Like, this is a line, I feel like, that is designed to completely put us into a fear-based response where our, a lot of our triggers and a lot of our wounding is touched on here, where, we are talking about money, right? And we are talking about how we are running our business in integrity, in what's aligned for us and what's not. Okay. And the money conversation is triggering for the majority of people, especially right now. So when you are experiencing somebody accusing you of being, you're money hungry and your integrity is going out the window, I just want you guys to pause for a second and really have a look at what is this representing for you right now. Because for me, when I pause and have a look at it, and I think about the money, and I think about how many people it's been able to help, and how much I've been able to pour back into the team, and how I've literally been able to keep a roof over my children's head, and how, women in this team have come in and they've made money and they've been able to provide for things that they wouldn't have had without this company. I believe with my whole being that doing this business and earning the money is in integrity. The way that we do this business is in integrity. We don't have to be, painted as these money hungry mamas that are feeding on, vulnerable other mums out there. When you hear something like that, just pause and check in. Is that actually true?
Well, it is true, because she also was able to build her success. The 100K she and her upline made over their time in Modern Nature, they were able to make that revenue based on the financial loss and the financial downfall of others, mostly women who had to lose money so that they were able to profit. That is the nature of network marketing. And you cannot solve that by listening into yourself and standing in your own integrity. When she is at the MMM rank, she has to have a team. She cannot reach that rank in Modern Nature if she doesn't have a team. She doesn't try to get a big team. Most people on that team lose money. That is the nature of network marketing, and that's an additional point of criticism. You can try and help as many people as you want, you can believe in it as much as you want, but it's not reality. Most people in network marketing lose money. Most people in Modern Nature lose money. Your success in network marketing always depends on the financial downfall and the financial loss of others. And I do believe that she was also a victim when she joined Monat. It sounds like her father's death made a huge impact in her life, naturally, understandably. She was very likely vulnerable, and she said she joined Monat 6 months later. She was used as she is now using other people, other women too. And on top of that, if you have such a public profile as she does, with such an extreme past when it comes to health and wellness, of course, it is hypocritical when you come from homeschooling your kids, growing your own produce, eating extreme diets, as she also said she was doing, denying any medicine, and then make a complete 180. But you use your extreme past to attract women who might think like you to sell corporate products in a company that lacks transparency, professionalism, and you do that on the backs of other women losing money, then it is not hard to understand why she gets critiqued. Did that email accusing her of exactly that hurt? Sure. But among us, the truth can sometimes be painful.
Has that been my experience in this team so far? What have I experienced in this team so far? Okay, because you've got to get all of these inflammatory statements that are just constantly thrown at you, left, right, and center to trigger you into a reaction rather than a considered response. Okay, and they want a reaction from you as well. So anytime I see anything like that, I'm always, number one, I'm pausing and I'm checking in with myself. What is this touching on? What is this statement representing? What is actually true? What have I experienced so far? Okay, before I go into react or respond with anything, I'm asking myself this question. Okay, because this is what we have to do, especially in this arena. We're going to get accused of a lot of different things because people don't, for some reason or whatever it is, it's a patriarchy and it's conditioning and it's whatever, the generational trauma. When women are successful in this business, it brings up insecurities in other people around you and they're not okay with that. That doesn't mean that you need to stop doing what you're doing to appease those people because they're not okay with you anymore. You just need to grow a stronger backbone and understand how to regulate yourself and how to identify what is actually happening here and what is happening inside of your nervous system to make you respond in a way that's reactive over responsive. Okay, and remember that you still have the power and the control as to how you navigate every single storm that will be thrown your way. Because after this storm with Carly's stuff that keeps going off because she said she was only going to do one post and she keeps posting about it, there will be another storm that comes. Okay, guys, there will be another storm that comes. And like I said, I think it was a few calls before, we will be the buffaloes that run straight through the storm. Every single question that is here, we will uncover it. We will bring it out of the dark. Link has touched on something today. Everything that is in the dark that is brought out to the light loses its power.
Women's financial success does not trigger other people's insecurity. Let's be transparent about that. The criticism about network marketing, whether it is men or women, is that they do not earn an honest living because most people who they are in business with will lose money so that they are able to make a profit. That is the essential part of the criticism. It is not that people are not cheering you on because you're successful and they're jealous. It is because you're doing that on the backs of other people. You enrich yourself on the backs of other women that you claim to lift up, when in reality, you are their financial downfall. And that is difficult to understand. And that is something that a lot of people in network marketing don't want to own up to, because ultimately the consequence, if they understood, if they saw, and if they owned up to that, they would have to leave this industry. It's that simple. She and her upline were inducted into the 100K club, meaning they were able to make $100,000 over their time in Monat, and they were able to do so in a predatory system where most people on their team lost money, and she cannot speak openly about that because it would ridicule the entire thing that she's doing there, and it would lead to other people leaving if she were transparent about that, or she would be an outcast, just like what she is doing with other people who have left and who speak out about the issues they had in the company. Some people might continue network marketing, so they will also not openly speak about the problems with network marketing, but about the product, the financial scare, whatever happened to them in the company. She's not able to speak up about this openly. She cannot. Transparency is the death of network marketing.
Okay, everything that is in the dark, or every conversation that's unsaid, or every little thing that we think that, we can't talk about that here. When we bring it out of the dark, it loses its power. The same way that I just spoke about shame loses its power when we speak into it, guys, when we have this conversation, which is why it was really important to bring this to the table tonight so that we can all discuss what we need to discuss and air out anything that is here for us to air out. And like I said, also, this is not a one and done. This will be a continual work in progress for us, because I want our team to literally lead the way in terms of how we navigate these storms and how we handle ourselves. Because if we can do this really well and hold a higher standard, not only will other teams be watching us, but we can teach it to our downlines as well, because they will then get the accusations and they will have stories made up about them that they're money hungry and that they're greedy and that they're negligent and all these things, where we'll be able to teach our teams how to navigate these storms that are here to make us stronger. The storms aren't here to completely wipe us out and stop us from doing this business. In any business that you enter, there will always be storms. And so I truly believe with my whole heart that this is here for us, and it's only here to help us get better. Okay. So the way that it's going to make us get better is we are changing the way that we do our consult. So you might want to change up your consult form, but this is the hair quiz that we usually use. We are adding 2 questions in there, which depending on who you speak to, some people will say don't do it. Other people will say it's not necessary, but for the purpose of us learning from this storm and this experience, we are adding in these questions, okay? The 2 questions that we're adding in, and this might change as well. Maybe you guys can give us feedback because I put this to the leaders chat and this is what we were talking about. The 2 questions that were coming through were, do you have any pre-existing hormonal conditions and are you sensitive to red clover extract? Okay, if we have covered these questions in our quizzes or our consults, we can give a really thorough in-depth consultation with anybody that we're dealing with, and we won't be like caught off guard if somebody comes back to us and it says, oh my gosh, I've got a thyroid condition or whatever it is, and I'm losing hair and all these things are happening, right? We can literally start the journey on the same foot together, and we understand what is happening for them, and we can be there for them to help guide them. And if still this happens and they choose not to use Monat and they want to cancel their account, that's okay. Again, these products are not going to be for every single person on the planet. There is no such thing as one product being the best and only thing for every single person on the planet. There will be some people that use these products that don't want to use them or choose not to, and that's okay. Right? We're not here to like keep people in and like, gaslight them from their experience and tell them that they have to stay and it's not this and that or whatever it is, right? Like, we are able to have an open conversation and an in-depth consultation with them.
If you ever receive such a hair quiz asking for medical details, then please do report that to Monat and to the regulatory organs in your country, because Monat will be held accountable legally for market partners doing that. That is something that cannot be ignored, and the market partners responsible for shilling out these hair quizzes, asking their customers for confidential information, they should be terminated as well. So if you ever stumble across such a hair quiz, if they really come out with that, then please report that. That is super dangerous and that is none of their business at all. And legally, it will make an impact.
We are able to have an open conversation and an in-depth consultation with them to help address a lot of the things that are coming up so that we feel in our integrity and our hearts that we're doing the right thing by our customers and our team. Amelia, do you want to say anything off the back of that before we open it up?
No, not in particular. The only thing that I think is very important is to include the pre-existing hormonal conditions. I feel like that's a very, very, like, if you're not going to use all the questions, like obviously you can choose what you want to use, but I would definitely be putting that in there, because in turn, obviously, like if they've got a hormonal condition, we need to be focusing on, what product is going to be best for them and their condition that they have. I just wanted to make one, I guess, a comment in regards, and just to clear it up, there's 2 people we were speaking about, okay, because I know some of the newbies are like, who are these people? Carly did not make the hate page. Carly sent the email blast. So who we were speaking about at the start of the call was not Carly. I don't know if you want to name names, but we don't need to name names, kind of thing. So there was 2 different market partners that have been in our or Taste Down line, who have come up with like 2 different things. So Carly's was an email blast, and this other one is literally an unhinged anti-network marketing page. And that person that did come in, she had an intention from the start that she told me that this was an experiment for her Crunchy Mums group that she wanted to go back to and report on to see if network marketing was a scam or not. And she said that to me at my kitchen table at my house with another one of my market partners present. And, that was the second biggest red flag for me as well. So there are 2 different people that we've had to navigate over the last, kind of like in conjunction with, in a way, but also know that, head office is not afraid to speak to us about this. Like Tay said in our leaders chat with head office today, like Jen Asher, who's the president, she was giving us all this information, what she knew, going to come back to us with more and things like that. So they're not shying away from it. But because this is the first time it's being blown up like this in this proportion in Australia, head office is obviously navigating how they're going to handle it, just as Tay and I have navigated over the last couple of weeks how we were going to handle it as well, moving forward as a collective, to make sure that everybody is comfortable in what they're doing here and, what they truly believe and what feels aligned with them still, and I just do want to reiterate that, we never make anybody use these products. We're never saying you have to use this, you have to buy our shampoo, you have to support our business, just like, who was it that shared just then? Yeah, like as Shannon said, like we're not forcing anybody to do this, so to even compare it to like the medical freedom movement, where people literally lost homes and family members like didn't want to speak to them anymore because of their medical freedom choices, like to compare that what was mandated here. And like, especially I was in Melbourne. I'm in Melbourne, like we had a lockdown for literally 2 years. Like my partner couldn't work. We lost our house deposit and everything. And then to go and compare that to a bottle of shampoo, like it's absolutely absurd, like in my personal opinion. And that's the one thing, like with Tay said, I cannot even comprehend that. And especially because Carly had never spoken to her whole downline about this, and she had a close friend, and Tori's already said it in the chat, so it's nothing that Tori hasn't already said, that she had no idea about any of this. And Tori's pregnant too. So in my opinion, if it was such a big concern for Carly with this Capixyl red clover ingredient and hormones, wouldn't you go to a close friend of yours that was pregnant and express your concerns to them because they're still running the business and still using the product? Do you know? So that was another icky thing for me as well. And I was just like, you know, how some people feel they need to operate isn't how we're all going to operate, but we can learn from, I guess, other people, and these take it as an experience and a learning curve.
Why would I address my genuine concerns in a cult, right? Because we see what's happening here. That is leading nowhere, because those concerns will not be properly addressed. What happened to I will love you no matter what decision you make, but do not critique us publicly, because then I'm not going to love you anymore. It also shows again that corporate Monat Australia is not prepared. It shows the lack of professionalism. And what I wonder at this point, is Monat Australia built predominantly on crunchy women? If the big leaders are all up for this holistic lifestyle and are super conscious about ingredients, then of course they're freaking out now. I would freak out too. This is the next territory that will break away, the next territory that will implode, and the next mass exodus, in my opinion, is in the making, with this ingredient scare and with Monat having such a bad track record to approach these topics. What do you think? That's what I assume is going on there right now. And I'd be freaking out as well if I were a leader in Monat Australia.
Moving forward, because there are going to be people that, especially when you're in a big team and you mass recruit, there's going to be people that come in that are not all love and light, that do not have your best intentions and, you know, do not have the same hearts that we carry in this organization either. Yeah, look, there's more I could say into it, but I don't want to keep going into, like, you know.
I just want to say this because it may happen in the future to one of you guys, okay? This is the phenomena that I feel like needs to be spoken. Anytime somebody comes into this kind of business, right, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work for them, okay, and they didn't get to where they wanted to get to. And honestly, Carly is a really great example of that, someone who was successful in a previous network marketing company, but then came into this network marketing company and did not get the success that she expected that she was going to get. Anytime that happens and somebody leaves and then they go off, like they've never mentioned one thing about any concerns that were brought up in terms of the hair loss thing, and then they go out and do a big post or they create a page or whatever it is, but in that same email and in that same post, they are literally directing you to their new business and their new opportunity, that is a red flag. Okay, people, the real phenomena that needs to be spoken about is the fact that people can come into this business, if it doesn't work and they want to declare to the world why it didn't work and now they go into a different business opportunity, they are going to leverage their story and their experience
of course they do.
inside this company to plant a seed of fear in you so that you potentially might leave Monat and jump ship, or you might start to like do something else or create another business from wherever they're, you know, sending you. Okay, that was a massive red flag for me. Literally in the second paragraph of that email was that the next email that was coming was going to be sharing about her new business or new door that she was walking through, which is just another word for she's gone to a new business or she's gone to a different company or whatever it is that she's created. And she wants to let the world know that she's left Monat and gone to a new thing and this is where she's headed. Okay, like not just with this situation, I've seen this happen in the last year, that people will leave this company and literally put crap on it and badmouth it and say all of these wild things to create a whole storm and circus so that they then get the clickbait and the eyes on their page and where they're going to next. Okay, it's a dirty marketing tactic that I've seen happen over and over again. I honestly did not expect Carly to use that marketing tactic, but she did, because she hooked everybody in with her massive email about everything that has been happening and things in this team and you know, using medical freedom terms thrown back into our face, knowing full well majority of us mamas in here are medical freedom advocates. Okay, that was done very, I'm going to say calculated. It's a nice word.
Ill intent.
Okay?
Ill intent.
That
okay?
is done for a reason, to draw your attention into the next opportunity to go to. Because let's face it, when people come into this business and if it hasn't worked as fast as you want it to work and you haven't made the money that you wanted to make, of course, we're going to start to look around and our attention goes elsewhere and we want to see other places in which we can start to earn money. Okay, like that is the reality of this business again. So for me, if that happens to you and someone comes into your team and then they want to leave and then they want to badmouth it and then they want to tell everybody where they're going, like that is something to be mindful of, because it does happen. People leave this company, will trash it, and then literally roll out the red carpet to their next business opportunity in hopes of getting people over. I've seen it done here. I've seen it done in the UK. I've seen it done in America, like literally, and people that I was talking to, you know, in sideline teams. Okay, this has happened quite a lot this year. So it is something that happens. And I just want you guys to be mindful if it does happen. Please come to us straight away. Please don't feel like you can't, you know, unpack this and discuss, you know, what has been happening, because it kind of does feel like, you know, people come in and then they want to just take every person that they've connected with away over to their next business thing, and it just feels really yucky. It's like, I'm like, these are my people, like these are all my front line, like what's going on here, you know, like it feels yucky to deal with. But again, once you pause and you sit with, what is this touching on? What am I learning from this? What is not yet integrated within myself so that I can learn and become a better leader that I need to be in this business? Because it's not necessarily what these two market partners did, it's what they're representing right now.
It will be such a devastating awakening for them when they recognize that is what happens in most MLMs. Let's see what these two are doing when they're forced to leave Monat because their paychecks are tanking hard. Move on from the old MLM, utilize your downline to join your next grift, your next MLM adventure, your next digital entrepreneur adventure. This is about having a big team, utilizing that big team, and also taking that big team to your newest adventure. Yes. But that doesn't mean that the criticism these market partners speak about is not valid. Both can be true. Cross-recruiting, trying to set yourself up for success in your next grift, and speaking about the negative side of the former MLM. We have seen this in the US last year, and we're still seeing it. She said it. Yeah, that's a normal practice in network marketing companies where it is essential to have a big team. So of course you want to tell people, hey, I'm leaving, but I'm going over there. Come with me. They are freaking out in Monat in Australia because they already know what is coming. Rather sooner than later, they have already seen this in the US and also probably in Europe and in Canada. That is why the team members should come to them and speak to them and not to others.
Okay, and what they represented for me was how to be more discerning with new people that come into the team, maybe not be so generous with my time to every single person here, you know, really start to act on the red flags that come through, but also don't be so emotionally invested and attached to somebody's potential. Because that is one of the biggest things that we can do is we can fall in love with somebody's potential in this business because we can see where they could go and we can see how amazing they could be. And when they come in and we're like, yes, we're so excited, this person's going to be amazing. And then all of a sudden they dip out, you never hear from them again. You get emotionally invested in somebody's growth because you can see how incredible this opportunity is. And of course we want everybody to be successful here and win. Of course we want to help free more families. So for me, it's like, don't fall in love with people's potentials, act on the red flags when you see them. I had to actively remove people from the chats because I found out who was screenshotting, who was sending things off, right? It doesn't feel nice to have to do that. But I always honestly trust and pray and give it to God that the information that I'm meant to see, I will find eventually, and things will be repaired. And I will take whoever I need to take out and I will let them know. Anytime I've taken somebody out of my chat, I've directly messaged them and I've let them know, hey, I need to take you out of my chat until I can really understand what your intentions are here in this business in order to protect the integrity of our team. We do not allow anything to be screenshot and sent off to outside people who are not inside of new season downline. That should be just something that goes without saying, but obviously needs to be said. Yeah, common courtesy, respect of the group and the team, right? There's a lot of things that are shared inside of our team that are not meant to be leaked out for other people to see, especially personal information. And especially things that are taken out of context as well. All right, some things have been screenshot, sent off to lots of different pages and taken out of context. Okay, so if we really sat down and mapped it all out and had a look and brought things back into context, it's not so scary to address. All right.
Okay,
So does anybody?
There's just one comment,
Yeah.
and Amanda just wants to know because she's not sure who we're talking about, and she doesn't want to be following their pages. Obviously, we've mentioned Carly. So yeah, if you want to unfollow Carly, you can unfollow. We're not telling you have to. You do what? Okay, thanks,
Yeah, that's the two names.
I wasn't sure if you were going to, but yeah. So Belle's got a couple of different pages, but Belle's the one who started this MLM hate page, and head office knows about it. They've emailed her about it. And look, if they want to go and take it further and for defamation because of the things that she is saying, they can. And if she doesn't stop, then, Tay and I can have a discussion about that as well. But I have blocked her. So I blocked all of her pages, and I've even blocked that MLM page because I don't need to see what she wants to say about me because I know who I am as a person. I know my heart and I know what my intentions here are, and they are not what she has, made it out to be. So yeah.
Yeah. And getting paid by the company that you're still trying to trash, guys, warrants a termination. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
You are getting paid.
You can't put a blast email out saying money and integrity, but then you've just been paid 2 days before.
Yes.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
That warrants a termination, which is why I had to go and take it to head office and they had to investigate because these two girls still had their accounts active
Yeah, still getting paid.
One in particular
Fine.
was still getting paid 2 weeks before that email went out. Okay, guys. So
I hope they
this is what I mean
requested that
by
money
like,
back.
That yet again just shows that you're not running your own business. How can you be terminated from your own business when you critique it? Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, no,
Well-
they should, shouldn't they? If they don't want it and it's not in integrity, eh? You'd think so.
and this is what I mean by there's always 3 sides to the story, guys. There's one side, there's another side, and there's the truth. Okay. And just know that whenever you're reading something that's very inflammatory, something that is very wrapped up in a lot of fear, again, come back to this team. Let's have a discussion. Let's bring it back into context. I will do my very best to be completely honest with you guys without trying to gossip or create more negativity or drama, because I'm not here for that. I don't have time for that, guys. I'm way too busy for that crap. I don't want to do that. But I understand when it comes to our team, and especially 2 people that were directly involved in our team, and a lot of you guys knew them, I understand that I have to address it. It's the elephant in the room, and I don't want to leave it lingering because it's not nice. It's not nice to feel like, oh, we can't speak about it. Like, of course we're going to speak about it, you guys. That's what transparency is all about. The good conversations and the hard ones too.
Yeah. I didn't even know what it was called, to be honest, because I just blocked it. I didn't have it saved or anything. I'm not even sure what the
Yeah.
was called. But if you just block her personal page, any account that I think she opens under the same
Yeah.
thing, I think they all get blocked. I think that's how Instagram works, like it blocks
Yes.
their accounts or something like that, yeah. But if you're not
And
even
I will
don't even worry.
I will finish on the Capixyl thing, guys. I promise you when I say we are actively working together to put together a very thorough resource so that when somebody asks us about Capixyl, we're not just giving a generic statement from head office, because we understand that that's not good enough. It's not sufficient. We need to address it. We need to have more information. We really want to get to the nuts and bolts of it. And this is just from me. It's from other literal directors in other teams as well. We all want to get to the bottom of business, squash it. So it is a work in progress, and it's not just going to happen literally overnight, because this is a thing that is going to take time to go back and forth with other leaders in corporate. But it is something that is, highlighted, and even just Etzel is requesting, the original study that has come from Lucas Meyer that created Capixyl, and we want to know more information. So just know, we genuinely, as mums, we want the best for everybody. We also want to make sure, that everybody feels like they can, find the right information and be confident in what we're sharing with other people. Like, we're not here to say, don't talk about that. Like, that's not something that we talk about. Like, we're here to say we're working on it. Corporate are very open and receptive. They do listen to our feedback. If enough of us leaders come forward and say, this is an issue, we need to address it, and we need to figure out a way to solve this, then they absolutely will be working with us to do that. And they are. So Jen Usher's gone away to find some more information. She's coming back. I've personally said to the other directors, can we jump on a Zoom call and map this out and mastermind it so that we can actually put our heads together? We might even be opening up a training call just for our teams and our downlines, so that we can actually all sit here like this on Zoom, and you can hear from other directors and other leaders in different teams, and you can hear from different people's experience and how they navigated it, and we can all put our heads together, because we've got naturopaths in the team, we've got traditional Chinese medicine doctors, we've got so many different people that know much more about
nurses
red
as
flag.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, like nurses and all these people, hairdressers. We've got enough of us in this team and other teams with the right skill set to come together and really form a solid resource where we can always turn back to it anytime Capixyl comes back up again. We can discuss it, but we can also cater a consult cart or, products, a system that doesn't have Capixyl in it. We can offer something else, okay? If it really is an
there's
issue.
a resource that actually just got dropped, Tay, in that leaders chat. Just a list of some products that don't have it, and there's a few, and the juniors range don't have it at all as well. Like, just to flag that if anyone wants to know if you're using it on your kids.
Yeah, beautiful. So this is just so you guys can hear.
There will be more because it's probably an older resource, but yeah.
All right, so Violet Lights, purifying vinegar shampoo, purifying rinse, scalp scrub, damage repair system, super moisture mask, damage repair mask, advanced hydro, oh no, that's old. Dry shampoo, dry texture spray, volume and lift, curl defining cream, I think those two are old, but I'm pretty sure they're curl defining don't. The kids range, not the dog wash because that's old, Rejuva beads and Rejuvenique oil. Doesn't have Capixyl in it. I'm sure smoothing doesn't either, because I literally just was reading the ingredients on the website.
Yeah.
And the volume system definitely doesn't have Capixyl. So smoothing system, the volume system, the purifying, Violet Lights, the damage repair, super moisture mask, like there are a lot of products that don't have Capixyl, guys. We've got a lot to work with here. Okay, so if that really is an issue, we don't have to be like, oh, case closed, we can't do this anymore. Be like, okay, cool. If that's going to be an issue, what else can we find? We can find a solution.
The next best option,
Companies need to cover their butts. There are concerns about Capixyl usage and warnings while pregnant and breastfeeding, and their solution is, well, run it past the leaders. We have a leaders chat. Well, great. There are no medical professionals involved, no doctors. What is missing in this entire thing? I mean, yeah, we're going to put a lot of questions into a hair quiz about your medical information, but what has been completely missing is, if you use these products and you're worried, please contact a medical professional. Please contact your doctor if they're safe for you to use with your individual medical history. And also pay attention while you're pregnant or while you're breastfeeding. We haven't heard this once. That is the easiest thing that you could do. Say it to your customers, say it to your market partners. Monat Australia is not prepared, and that will lead to more concerned customers and to more concerned market partners who will likely stop to use the products and leave. And we already see and hear this in this Teamhuddle. The Huns cannot answer these questions, but they're frantically looking around, posting shit here or there. Extending a hair quiz with private information is absolutely not acceptable. Where is the corporate side of Monat? Where is the information how market partners can deal with this? They're playing business.
Yeah,
All right,
100%.
does anybody want to share anything, ask any questions? I know Stina Yellowstone is on and I really want to go watch it, but this is important, guys, and we need to have this conversation. So I'm going to leave some room here. Anybody that wants to take yourself off mute or drop it. Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to ask about this. So I was doing the live challenge and this really threw me because I think Brie posted something in the Conscious Mothers group in Perth. So I've literally lost all my teamies. They're all out after seeing that because obviously it's created a lot of mistrust in the company itself. So one of the big things that threw them was that the information, I know I've spoken to you about this, Tay, the information sheet for Canada has an actual statement on there to say consult your physician if you are pregnant and breastfeeding, and Australia's one doesn't. So for me, that also kind of makes me feel really icky about it. Obviously I was just pregnant and I just had my baby at 33 weeks. So it makes me think, is there an element of influence, which is fair. And I agree with everything you've said in terms of everyone gets to choose whether or not they use these products, but I do think it's really important that that is made very clear. So,
but then again, not everybody really gets to choose whether you use the product. If you're a distributor in Monat, you have to use the products. You can leave out the ones with Capixyl, but you have to use the products. If you want to sell them, if you want to recruit, you need to use the products.
What I want to know is if we go and research this and make a reel ourselves to want to kind of talk to our people about it, because a lot of my friends are in that conscious group and they are in that kind of space. They've all seen it, which I think it's obviously a little bit uncomfortable because I don't want to be advocating for something that causes harm. Do we need to run that past yourselves first or past head office? Because I don't want to be in a position where I'm saying something that they might interpret as not being in support of the company, if that makes sense. So yeah, can you give guidance on that?
I would say definitely run it past me or Amelia, because we've got access to the leaders chat. If there's anything, we're not saying don't share anything, but if there's something that stands out and I'm like, let me just double check that, and I'll run it past leaders care, only because they might say it's non-compliant. You absolutely can share things, but we just want to make sure that we're saying the right information or we're just getting the right things out there. Because even, if you say financial freedom, sometimes that gets flagged for non-compliance, so you want to make sure you just have a second pair of eyes over it. And, me or Amelia can give you some feedback, just as we've always done with your socials as well. And I can go to corporate. I'll say, hang on, let me just check for that with corporate. And then, feel free. This is the thing, the company's not telling you to only say this and that's it. You have free reign on how you express yourself and how you've digested information and how you want to communicate that with your audience as well, especially if you feel like it's going to be helpful. Because I do feel like there's a little bit of damage that has been done, and Belle's on she's on one, so she's going to keep going. And because you're over there, it is going to be a bit we've got to now really double down on re-educating people or helping people understand so that we can kind of counteract the heaviness of the noise that she's trying to create right now. So I think it is a great idea, but I also think just second pair of eyes over it. If there's anything that stands out, I can run it past leaders care, because we're in a chat with literally directors, and there's nothing that we can't ask. Nothing's off limits, this is why I love having access to this, because I'm like, yes, okay, cool. Now I'm seeing what, Jess Etzel's putting in there, what other directors are putting in there. I'm like, okay, cool. We can all come together and we can feel, how we want to feel as mums in this. Of course, if there is something that is going to be triggering something in another woman, especially a pregnant woman, absolutely, we are not going to be, willy-nilly, everyone can use it. Same thing with, peppermint oil and all the different things that we are just a bit more mindful of when we're pregnant, for 9 months or, even preconception, you can switch out to a different shampoo if it's really going to concern you. And let's just go with this option. But 100% you can definitely do that, I would say.
Add here, I'm not sure if this information has been reiterated to you because it was just sent today a couple of hours ago, but in regards to that actual the screenshot of the resource from the UK, Canada, or the UK?
Canada.
So that's actually an old one. It's not on the current one now. If it is on the current one now, they were double checking and going to remove it because when questions were asked around Capixyl years ago, like before it even opened in the Australian market, someone in marketing thought it would be a good idea to flag it there. Just, I guess it's to cover all bases in regards to people who are pregnant and breastfeeding. It's like when you, even a vitamins, if you like check your vitamin bottles and things like that, it says it, like if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, even like a protein, whey protein, even the cleanest protein, like it always says, consult your physician when pregnant or breastfeeding.
Yeah, of course, I'm saying it again because companies need to cover their butts. So stop guessing and make an educated decision by telling your potential customers and market partners to ask a medical professional if these products are safe for them to use because of their individual medical history and because they're pregnant and because they're breastfeeding. This is not a guessing game where you can jeopardize the health and the wellness of other people. This is grown women playing, I'm running my own company, which they're clearly not. This is wild.
A lot of companies put that on as a caution for many things, because like honestly, there's not a lot of studies with pregnant women, because what pregnant woman wants to be in a study where it could potentially affect their unborn child, so there's not a lot of studies worldwide with anything to do with pregnant women. So if it hasn't been already removed, they're going to remove it, and that's why it's never been on the Australian resources, was because really, it wasn't like it was a concern when it came into the Australian market, and they believe it's unnecessarily and probably made people more concerned than anything. That's why it's not in our fact sheets in Australia. And, just to reiterate what Tay did say, Capixyl has trace elements of red clover in it. Okay, so a lot of people, when they research...
It might... Yeah,
when they research red clover, a lot of the research is about ingesting, not trace elements of topical use as well. Yeah, but
it might even be a thing of eventually they might put that back on and change it. We don't know, the more that we dig into Capixyl, we don't actually know like how things are going to be changed. And if that's the case, and obviously we all have to change what it is that we're doing. But I don't think it's something that is like super scary and super alarming. Like we can't recommend this anymore, because the reality is like there won't be any testing on pregnant women because they'll say it's unethical to do. And I know that because obviously they do that with the flu jab and they do that with so many bloody vaccines, and it's annoying because it's like, well, we need more information, but it does play out like that. So yeah, they can only work with what they've got so far. And then again, coming back to, do you feel okay to use it, knowing that there's not any, in-depth, thorough clinical studies on topical use of red clover extract? If you don't, that's okay. Like we can do something else. Like just, I guess, individual discernment, and also just open conversations with potentials, and I guess even educating people as well. Because to be honest, like once this is all kind of Christmas has passed, 100% I'm going to be speaking into it on my stories, and I'm going to be bringing it back to discernment in an individual choice. Like everybody has the right to choose here. Nothing that we're sharing here is mandated, number one. So that completely cancels out comparing that to a friggin', the medical freedom arguments that we always share about, safety and efficacy and playing Russian roulette, and where there's risk, there must be choice. Like there is choice here. And yes, if there is a risk, 100%, we could talk about it. We can talk about the risk, and then they can still decide whether or not they use it. It's not something that we're forcing on people. So maybe that's like, for me, because it's such a thing now, and especially because there's so many medical freedom members in this business, the 100% that is something that I'm going to be creating content around, but also I will be mindful in how I share it, and try not to make it inflammatory, because sometimes, depending on what day you catch me on, I might freaking throw something out there, just, it's a bit inflammatory because I've just had enough.
Sorry, Tay, what are they actually saying that it does? Like, what is it linked to?
So it's saying that it's causing an estrogenic effect. So it's an excess of estrogen that is not naturally produced in the body, which can then create or cause hair loss. That's the main thing. But in terms of the pregnancy and the breastfeeding thing, I think it's more to do with the hormonal changes and the shifts, especially if there's an underlying condition. Putting somebody into a hyper-estrogenic response in your body is obviously not going to be a good thing, because your autoimmune system will kick into gear and attack itself, which is what autoimmune diseases are, like thyroid, like anything like that. Your body is trying to attack itself because it thinks it's a threat to the immune system. So
this is such a clueless guessing game. I know I've said this now multiple times, but wow, where is Monat corporate with the necessary product education for their salespeople? Where is it? Why doesn't it exist yet? I'm coming back to this topic over and over again because ultimately Monat is at fault here. It is their job to make sure that their sales force, independently contracted, mostly unpaid, that they have all of the information they need, and they do not do this kind of stuff. Where is the documentation backed up by medical professionals and by chemists who created the products on how to deal with products and customers' concerns? Where is it?
You know, when you're pregnant, for example, you know, a lot of early births will happen because the body thinks that the baby is foreign. So it will, you know, it will put your body into an early birth because it feels like the baby that's growing the fetus is an attack on the nervous system and it doesn't recognize it. So that's the autoimmune condition will put women into early births and miscarriages. A lot of women who have autoimmune conditions will experience stuff like that. And it's hard to fall pregnant as well.
And what are you saying when it comes up in conversation? What's the best thing to kind of,
as in the estrogenic response that it may create?
or just yeah, like if someone says, like now in WA, oh, I read on the Conscious Mothers group that you have Capixyl, what is a way that you can kind of like navigate that conversation?
Yeah, I mean,
Can I request, sorry, Tay, while
I
you're
guess-
thinking,
yeah.
can we do training on this? Like, not right now. Obviously, we all need to go do some training because I think for us in Perth here, like that Conscious Mothers group is where most of the people who are like-minded, conscious of how they like walk through the world and things, socialize. So like this is completely blown up on that page. So can we maybe in the new year have some sort of training call to actually address that? So go through the
100%.
action and stuff like that. Like I'm reading up on it, happy to send you what I find. But I just think to address us here because like I said, I'm actually getting bombarded by the people who've bought from me and my teammates, and I don't know what to say because I'm like, well, I don't, do you know what I mean? Like I showed you the response from head office that wasn't very helpful.
And that's what I was going to say. Like honestly, I feel like the training needs to happen in order for us to have a really solid response, which is why I'm pushing like back on the leaders chat. Is like we need to come together and actually put together a solid training call on this for everybody. Like I would even say, like, can it be a Monat global call and we actually sit down and we have doctors or we have, you know, women who specialize in hormonal health so that we can understand exactly, okay, the estrogenic response and what happens and ingredients that may impact that and why there isn't, you know, these studies that we need to see in terms of, there is, you know, because from Carly's email, she's saying there is studies that show that red clover extract creates is estrogenic. So, you know, maybe we can have a look at that and break down the studies.
It's only if it's ingested
I know.
Studies.
I know, but it's still, you know, like to be able to go back to people who say, well, you know, you're still absorbing, if we're absorbing things on the scalp 12 times faster than we are on the face of the skin, like it is still something that we're going to have to navigate in terms of the conversation. So
once we have more resources from head office as well, and we've come together with the leaders, then we'll definitely be able to run a training. When we are more equipped to have, you know, those solid answers.
You need solid
helpful,
answers.
me and Amelia
That's
can jump into
really
a chat with
the
you,
main
and every
takeaway
time
from
you're
this
bombarded,
call.
just send it in and we will help guide you through the conversation as best as we can until we get this training call going or this resource going, because it's not something that's going to go away. Like we know that we need to talk about Capixyl, we need to address it, we need to have, you know, the same way that we have scripts and all these things, we need to have it for this thing in the business, you know, for these types of hard questions. And I honestly feel like that's where our team gets to lead the way in terms of really like setting the standard and saying, hey, we're going to have the hard questions and the hard conversations, and this is how we can address it so that everybody's confident across the board. And the more of us that are confident across the board, the more that we can, you know, strengthen numbers and we can just help keep educating and squash this, you know, this storm that keeps trying to brew.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, all good. Anybody else? Anyone else want to share anything? I do want to just say quickly, it was really upsetting for a lot of our teamies to see that email that Carly put out, because a lot of us generally felt like we were friends, like we had established bonds and connections. And, you know, for her to just do that and then blindside everyone and utilize language that's used in the medical freedom movement against us, medical freedom mummers, was really hurtful. And so I just want to acknowledge, like, if that did come up for you, you know, you have every right to feel the way that you're feeling. And I also want to say, at the end of the day, this is business. Like, it is a business. I know that we do this for the community aspect of it, and we love the sisterhood that's formed, but it's still a business. And sometimes we really do have to detach our emotions from what's happening. especially if we're trying not to take every single thing so personally, because when we take it so personally, it impacts how we feel, and how we feel is how we operate the business, and then we can't show up and we can't do the consults and we can't do the content, right? So really understanding that, yes, those feelings are valid, and also it's still a business, and sometimes we really do have to disconnect from that in order for us to still do our IPAs. Because if I was to let every single person who threw hate my way impact how I felt and how I ran my business, and I operated my business on my feelings, I wouldn't have a business. I'd be deep in the trenches of freaking crying over spilt milk 24/7. So when stuff like that happens, I detach and I'm like, this is a business. I need to focus on what I need to do for my team right now, who are here to work the business legitimately, and stay focused. And then we'll come back and address this, which is why we kind of left it a little bit longer to address this, because like I said, when this all started brewing, coincidentally, it was the end of the month. End of the month, right? We know that end of month madness is happening. She knew that as well. We had things to focus on. We had so many rank ups. We then went into December and we had the biggest announcement of the century, of the decade, right? So we need to focus on what we need to focus on the business. And now we come back to this and we discuss it. Okay. So I just want to put that out there. It wasn't posted in the chat, Lindsay. It was sent out to anyone who was on her social media page who opted in to seeing it, or it was on her email list.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's probably saved it in the highlights as well.
Yeah, probably. If anybody wants to, reach out to Tay or I and chat, like, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But, we'll give you the information that we can. And if we, can't answer a question, we're going to let you know, and we'll come back at a later date, when we have had solid information, just as Tay reiterated at the start of this call. I just really want to reiterate that now because, we are in this together. We are all learning. Tay and I don't know everything. Like, I've been in this business, 2 years and a couple of months. Tay's been in for going on 16 months or something. It's like we don't know everything, but we have people that have been in here longer than us. We've got access to directors, we've got access to head office, to corporate, to our leaders care and things like that, and they will navigate and support us the best that they can, so then we can support you the best that we can as well.
Yeah. All right, ladies, I think that wraps it up. If there's no more questions, nothing was missed, no one wants to take themselves off mute, I'll stop the recording now.
They are so clueless. It is truly wild. Boss babes playing business. I have been recording now for over 3 hours, and I can only imagine how tiresome it must be for somebody to actually be on that call when your business, which is clearly not your business, depends on understanding why there's criticism from the outside. There might be scares with potentially hazardous ingredients in Monat products. Wow. I would not be able to keep my eyes open, I think. Why is there no clear speaking points from Monat? That's the ultimate question I get back to. They should know their products. They should have valid and well-founded product knowledge from the corporate side. And also, they shouldn't have to ask for medical information or feel that they have to ask for medical information, because Monat should have everything legally sound on their website and also on the products. They cannot ask for medical information in a hair quiz. And if they do, there is a real handle to report Monat and the market partners. And honestly, if you're a market partner in Monat and Monat Australia, and there is a training call coming your way, I would always recommend, if you ever decide that you want to leave the company or that you might be in legal trouble also with the regulators, make sure that you have a recording and that you have screenshots and that you save the documentation, the official documentation from Monat Corporate. Because that is something, in case you're involved in a lawsuit or you get a fine, that is something that you can legally use to defend yourself. Not from some made-up boss babe leader in the company. That is irrelevant, but official documentation from Monat is something that I would save, because it looks like shit is going down in Monat in Australia. And it's quite obvious and quite clear that also the people here, they feel personally attacked. But it's a business and they want to make money. It's a business, yes, that's what it's about. And they're afraid that their paychecks is tanking, while I'm sure they also feel hurt by everything that is currently going on. And just to wrap this up, from an ingredients perspective, Capixyl is in a good amount of Monat's products, among others the voluminizing and the black shampoo. It is not mentioned on the website to address a doctor while you're pregnant or when you're breastfeeding. Just putting that out if you want to be mindful about this as well. And then obviously there's still question marks about the Lilal issue. There is no trust in the information with a predominantly female sales force. Understandably, Monat has really not cleaned up their business because it's actually their business, the information they need to hand out. The ingredient scare is still going on. Now it has also reached Australia, and yep, Monat is going to crumble even further, and Monat Australia is going to crumble from the inside out, because if it is that easy to shake this team to that degree, because 2 people left and they speak about their concerns publicly on social media and also in emails, Monat is going to fuck this up. I'm pretty sure about this. If you're interested in more insights, then like I said, go ahead and follow MLM Unmasked on Instagram. Everything will be linked down below in the info box. They're able to give information from their time in modern nature, which I think is absolutely valid. Take everything current and former market partners say, of course, with a grain of salt. Take everything I say also with a grain of salt and do your own research, but I didn't want to cut this down because I think it is important to get the entire call, to not take anything out of context, but this was a wild ride. I'm going to finish filming now. I have to turn off my camera because it's probably overheating. It is really dark outside and I need to grab some lunch. It's really late. It's already 3:30 and I didn't have lunch today. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sitting in this long ass call. Share this with people who this might be interesting to. I think this can be valid for people who are also still in network marketing companies to wake up or to ask the truly relevant questions, not just with their own uplines, but also to take a look at outside sources. So thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, like it, comment. All of that helps the channel out a lot. It also helps to boost these videos in the YouTube algorithm so that more people can see it. And if you like these types of videos, then hopefully I will see you in my next one. Until then, cheers!